Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is story about what if Naruto realizes that he fall and loves Sasuke part 1. Before I start, please do support for more amazing content and comments for part 2. Do consider to subscribe my channel and share my video to your friends and check out the description as well. Let's start the video. It was the dead of night when Sarutobi Hiruzen stepped into the forest. The forest was quiet. Too quiet in fact, like the quietness that only came after a great storm or before it. He didn't know which one it was. It could be both. The shinobi around him worked quietly, marking each speck of blood, each shuriken dropped. All of them avoided him and the small figure standing absolutely still in their midst. Naruto, he called out quietly, afraid to disturb the silence. It is time to go. Uzumaki Naruto, standing in front of the battered body of his deceased academy teacher, did not reply. The news of Yumino Irika's death spread through the academy like wildfire, although in a hushed, terrified tone. Nobody knew exactly what happened. They only knew that Irika fought bravely to save a forbidden scroll from being taken by an enemy ninja. They knew the culprit was apprehended. They didn't know that it was Mizuki who killed Irika. They didn't know that it was Naruto who beat Mizuki half dead. They also didn't know that Mizuki would have been dead if the Jounin didn't stop Naruto. By the time they arrived, the shadow clones were all gone, leaving only Naruto, who continued to punch Mizuki even though his right hand was already broken. He had to be pulled off with much kicking, screaming, and crying that seemed to go unheard, so after a while he stopped. Naruto hadn't talked much afterwards except in the Hokage's office when the old man questioned him about the incident. After everything, he was asked to keep what happened that night between them, not that it stopped Naruto's guilt or anger. Guilt because he was the one that fell for Mizuki's ruse and so dragged Irika into the whole mess and got him killed. Anger because Mizuki was still alive. Justice hadn't yet been served. He was allowed to graduate in light of his ninjutsu ability during the incident. Naruto suspected that it was partly a ploy to calm him down, but he accepted it nonetheless. He was exempted from going to briefing if he did not wish to. He knew it was because everyone, unbeknownst of Naruto's involvement, would be talking about Irika. He told the Hokage that he was a ninja, so he'd do his duty and went anyway. Probably for the first time in forever, Naruto was grateful for being ignored. Nobody asked him about his right hand, assuming it was an accident from one of his many pranks. They didn't realize that Naruto never pulled a prank that might cause him serious harm because it would be too much trouble. He lived alone with no one to take care of him. A broken right hand from a prank was out of the question. The convenience of the broken hand was that if anyone asked him why he was quiet, he could always say he was drowsy from the medication. No one did though. He sat in the back and watched as Sakura walked past him, bounces in her steps, to the still, dull figure of Sasuke Uchiha. She was trying to chat with him, but the Uchiha kept ignoring her. Naruto didn't understand why the guy had to always be such an asshole to their classmates. The Uchiha was a quiet guy, that he understood, but would it killed him to just acknowledge Sakura's existence when she was so nice to him? She was never like that around Naruto. Not that he blamed her in light of Mizuki's revelation. Actually, it all made sense now. After a decade of not knowing why, Naruto finally had an explanation that made his life thus far understandable even if it was still painful. If Irika could find the heart to see him as Naruto and not the Ninetales, why didn't everybody else? His train of thought was interrupted when the teacher walked into the room to announce their teams. The name Uzumaki Naruto barely registered to most of his classmates. Sakura noticed though. She stood up with a loud what? And proceeded to look for him. She had a hard time doing so since Naruto wasn't wearing his trademark orange jacket that day. It was doused in too much blood to be cleaned, so the Hokage offered him another jacket instead. It was white with small black stripes on the rims and along the sleeves. Although Naruto wasn't partial to it, he didn't have enough clothes or money to say no. Catching sight of him, Sakura frowned. He just gave her his usual face-splitting grin. He could avoid his teammates at lunch, but he couldn't do so when they came back for the afternoon briefing and were asked to sit in teams. He slid into his seat beside the Uchiha, who took a look at him from the corner of his eyes and raised his eyebrows at the cast and sling. Naruto made a face that meant fuck off and proceeded to sit in silence. As soon as their Jounin instructor came, it would be over. They were just supposed to get to know each other, then Naruto could go home and rest. This briefing was more exhausting than he first thought, but their Jounin instructor didn't show up, not for a long time, long enough for Naruto to doze off in his seat. Sakura starting pacing after a while and the Uchiha, well, he just sat there like he did for the past several hours. Sakura still tried to chat with Sasuke. Sasuke was still ignoring her. And Naruto was just listening to Sakura's voice with his eyes closed. The nap gave him enough energy to follow their Jounin instructor, who appeared phenomenally late, to a walkway where they sat down and began to chat. He asked them to introduce themselves and Naruto, knowing he'd be zapped of energy soon, volunteered to go first. I'm Uzumaki Naruto. What I like is instant ramen. What I hate is the 3-minute wait, he said. The sentences felt like a lie to him, but he went with them anyway. He wasn't allowed to talk about that night, so he couldn't say he hated Mizuki, hated him enough to want to see him hang with his body swinging in the wind. He didn't know what he liked, not right now. And his dream. "I want to be the strongest ninja," he blurted out. That was how he felt watching Irika's body lying in the pool of blood. Irika died because he wasn't strong enough. If he was the strongest ninja, nobody could ever harm the people important to him again. He knew he was probably the weakest in class, but he'd get there somehow. Sakura looked at him in surprise but didn't say anything. He realized his mistake then. For years he was bragging about a different goal entirely, as late as last week even. Suddenly switching to another would signal to anybody that something was off, so he added, "So I can become Hokage and people will recognize me," and grinned. The Jounin Hatake Kakashi nodded and motioned Sakura to follow. Of course, she liked Sasuke and hated Naruto. It was not a surprise, but he faked a broken heart expression for her anyway. In truth, he wasn't feeling anything of the sort. He barely felt anything at all, actually. Sakura seemed like a faded presence, as did the Uchiha acting all broody and intense. His dream was to kill somebody. Naruto had a vague idea who it might be. After seeing Irika fell before his eyes, all he wanted was to kill Mizuki. It was such an all-consuming rage that Naruto knew he could not get out of, not until Mizuki died. He noticed that Kakashi was looking at him instead of the Uchiha even when his goal wasn't something a 13-year-old genin should aspire to. A moment later he noticed Sakura gaping at Sasuke, lost and a little horrified. No, another mistake again. He should have gawked at the bastard or something. He had been too stoic. Stupid medication. But Kakashi didn't say anything, he simply diverted his attention back to the group. "Right, our first mission is supposedly tomorrow." He paused. "But Naruto here suffered a serious injury to his right hand and can't form any seals right now, so it would be unfair to do it right away. I got special permission to conduct the exam next week instead. That is if he could move his right hand at all by that time." "Exam?" Sakura blurted out. "But I thought, your academy exams are jokes compared to what a real genin has to face," Kakashi continued. "To make sure you have any chance of surviving a genin mission at all, we do survival training. You three will go up against me. If you fail, you will go back to the academy." Sakura just gawked at Kakashi, not knowing what to say. Naruto knew she wanted to protest. Sakura had been one of the very smart, very hard-working students coming from a civilian family. Graduating and becoming a ninja had been her goal before Sasuke. But if that night taught Naruto anything, it was that whatever was taught in the academy really was a joke. Nothing they had seen had prepared them for an enemy that was out for their blood in the deep darkness of the night. Naruto shuddered slightly. He fought the urge to hug himself. He wouldn't be weak anymore. He swore to that. He would be strong, stronger than anyone. Again he noticed Kakashi looking at him from the corner of his eyes. It was brief, but there was a flash of something there that irked Naruto. He bet Kakashi knew what happened. He bet he was ready to fail him just so the Nine-Tails boy would never become a ninja. No, he wouldn't allow that. "A week then," Naruto said and nodded. His voice was hoarse even to his own ears. Kakashi openly stared at him, and then nodded in return. He pulled out a few sheets of paper and handed them around. There were instructions, time, place, and necessary preparations. Naruto barely read it all before they were dismissed. A week wasn't a long time to heal from a broken hand. It wasn't that bad, but the doctor said he would give it a month with some therapy to ensure that it would be fully functional again. A week was just Kakashi's courtesy, so it looked like he gave Naruto a chance. There wasn't a chance for him to use much ninjutsu for this training. Naruto had to come up with something else. That was why he was on the training field the entire week, testing the ability of his left hand and arm and looking for strategies he could use. Naruto might be dumb, but he wasn't that dumb. He knew he had to get prepared if he wanted to pass. In that following week, he heard news of people failing. 66% failure rate, they said. The number only made Naruto work harder. Some of the days, he noticed the Uchiha on the training ground as well. Sometimes he would stop by to watch Naruto, and stay long enough so he could snort at Naruto's mistake. Naruto just huffed and went back to work. They pretty much ignored each other until the day of the test. The three of them were there exactly on time without breakfast. He was quite awake, but still pretty groggy from the pain medication. He took a seat on the grass and tried to talk to Sakura as they waited. Sakura, in turn, tried to talk to Sasuke. Sasuke, still as rude as ever, didn't say anything, but he occasionally stared at Naruto's right hand still in the cast and all. Naruto was pretty sure the Uchiha thought he wouldn't make it. 2 hours later, Kakashi finally showed up, giving them a lame excuse about getting lost on the path of life or something. They all set to work soon after Kakashi confiscated their lunch boxes and showed them the 2 bells. Just 2. Naruto swore one was going to be his no matter what. "Come at me with the intent to kill," Kakashi told them, "or you will fail. You can use shuriken if you want." The intent to kill? Naruto had plenty. Sakura was clearly very concerned. She tried to warn Kakashi that he would come to harm. Naruto wanted to say that the guy was asking for it. Besides, he was a jounin. For new graduates like them, getting close to him alone would be a problem. Getting the bell would be another thing altogether. Kakashi told them this, in that condescending way of his that made Naruto a little angry. Just to demonstrate that, Naruto pulled out a kunai with his left hand and aimed it at Kakashi's head. Before anyone could register what was going on, Naruto's hand along with the kunai was bent to the back of his head. The kunai never got the chance to leave his hand. Sakura gasped. He saw comprehension in her eyes. Yes, they were so going to have problems pinning this guy down. I haven't said start yet, Kakashi said, and aiming a kunai at a random person is dangerous. You're not a random person, Naruto said with a smirk. Kakashi seemed to ponder what he said a little before letting his hand go. Naruto put the kunai back in place. Alright, he said, let's start. At the word start, Sasuke and Sakura quickly disappeared. Naruto on the other hand simply twisted around. Kakashi quickly jumped out of his reach. You weren't going to hide like the others? He asked. Naruto smirked. No, I'd rather take you down now. With that shout, he pulled out a handful of shuriken and threw them at Kakashi, who didn't even need to dodge them. He simply caught every single one of them. You really want to kill me, Kakashi said. You said I should, Naruto replied. Kakashi sighed. There is a difference between the intent to kill and the killing, he said. You know that. Naruto's hand clenched. Shut up, he shouted as he launched himself at Kakashi again. This time it was a kunai. He threw one and quickly followed with another in his hand ready to stab Kakashi. He didn't expect Kakashi to move behind him. A ninja isn't supposed to be caught from behind, Kakashi said. From that angle Naruto couldn't see his attack, but he felt it in his bottom when Kakashi shouted 1,000 years of death. The power of that hit was enough to send Naruto into a nearby pond. Bad landing place or maybe not. He didn't really want to use the shadow clone. It reminded him too much of what happened that night, but he had no choice. He was going to defeat Kakashi. He was going to get the bell. He was going to be the strongest. He couldn't be the strongest if he faltered on a little thing like this. He moved 2 fingers of his right hand into position to form the seal and followed it with his left hand. He managed to create 8 clones. One of them used henge to turn into a big windmill shuriken, the other slightly larger than normal shuriken, which was a damn impressive feat if he might say so. He quickly grabbed them and kicked the bedrock, launching himself up with the oversized shuriken in hand, then kicked a boulder closer to the surface to send himself flying. There wasn't much time. He didn't have enough power to suspend himself in midair for long, but the few seconds the jump gave him were enough to aim the windmill shuriken at Kakashi before he fell to the ground. As he expected, Kakashi dodged it easily. He looked at Naruto who was crouching near the pond still trying to catch his breath. You're full of anger, he said. Anger will not make you win. I know that, Naruto shouted and got to his feet. He was soaked, hungry, and tired, but he wasn't going to stop yet. He jumped and threw 2 more shuriken. He didn't wait to see how they were deflected before jumping to Kakashi's left side and throwing more. None of them hit his target, but none of that mattered. What mattered was seeing Kakashi's expression when the windmill shuriken turned into Naruto and grabbed hold of the Jounin's back. At the same time, the littered shuriken transformed back into clones that swarmed the masked man under. The plan? Dogpile Hatake Kakashi into submission. Did you get the bells? Naruto shouted down at the clone who was supposed to hold Kakashi under the pile. The clone shook his head. I can't feel it, he said. Yeah, that's the problem with the plan. He couldn't see Kakashi at all. How could he find the bells? He's not here! One of the clones shouted. Well aware that it might be a ruse, Naruto released his clones anyway. No one was there aside from him. Damn it! He shouted into the sky. Kakashi used substitution. He should have known that. Then he saw something shiny under a tree, a bell. On instinct he moved towards it, but then stopped. Would Kakashi be careless enough to drop it while he got away? Was he that desperate? No, Kakashi had to be better than that. Naruto smirked. He made another clone who walked forward and grabbed the bell. Sure enough, the trap was activated but not before the clone threw the bell at Naruto and Kakashi took it from midair. Impressive use of clones, said Kakashi, pocketing the bell as Naruto stood stunned. His clone had already disappeared into a puff of smoke. It didn't even register to him that Kakashi just complimented him. He was just angry, so angry that Kakashi just took what was rightfully his. I got that, bastard! Naruto shouted as he charged in again. Kakashi dodged him easily, like he was dancing while Naruto aimed his fists and feet everywhere in his proximity in hope of hitting Kakashi even once. Before he realized it, Kakashi danced him into a tree. Another trap activated, tying Naruto to the trunk as he kicked and screamed. You're too angry, Naruto, Kakashi said patiently. Your anger is going to become a great liability in the field. So? You're going to send me back for that? He raised his chin in defiance. I did what you told me to do, sensei. You can't just send me back because I'm pissed off, Kakashi sighed again. You really don't understand, do you? He said. Your anger has made you blind, given you tunnel vision. You're not able to think clearly at all or you would have come up with a better plan. Then he turned and walked away. I'll go take care of your teammates while you calm down, Naruto groaned as Kakashi disappeared into the bushes. He was so close that he had basically touched the bell, but he still couldn't get it. In essence, he wasn't good enough to be a ninja. He let his head hang as emotions overcome him, and he stopped thinking just for a while. Kakashi had the reputation of failing every team he was assigned to, so naturally, when the Hokage asked for an audience with him over lunch, he assumed that it would go something along the line of please don't fail them so hard anymore, despite the fact that the Hokage never implied as such each time he handed in the failed grades. As it turned out, that was not the case. It even started with an apology from the Hokage. I know I am asking too much from you this time, Kakashi, the old man said with a sigh. When the team was originally put together, the circumstances were rather different. On the table in front of Kakashi were the 3 files of his students, Haruno Sakura, Uchiha Sasuke, and Uzumaki Naruto. Sakura's read like a typical schoolgirl, civilian upbringing, above average intelligence, hard worker, but also easily distracted by fashion and boys. Sasuke's, on the other hand, read like a tragedy, orphaned at the age of 8, traumatized by his psychopathic brother at the scene of the carnage, hyper-intelligent, secluded, single-minded, cold. Naruto's file was the one that troubled Kakashi the most, orphaned from birth, bullied, a troublemaker, energetic, fierce protector of other children, almost committed a murder. Sasuke's behavior was consistent with his history if not a bit over the top. Naruto's was just chaotic. He was the one who stole the forbidden scroll, Kakashi stated flatly. Due to Mizuki's influence, yes, the Hokage replied and sighed. He's a lonely boy. There isn't much I can do to make the villagers accept him. Children are very perceptive of their parents' attitude and give him a wide breadth since he got into the academy. Only Irika and Mizuki seemed invested in him. Essentially, he has no family, no friends, no one to give him guidance except you, said Kakashi. It was no secret that the fox boy met up with the Hokage often, mostly for the troubles he caused. With Irika's death, you're afraid he will become secluded and unstable. The Hokage sipped his tea and, for a time, seemed lost in his own thoughts. I don't think he was ever grounded, he said finally. He also doesn't take orders very well. He has a problem with every authority figure, really. Kakashi could feel the onset of a migraine creeping up his left temple. Then why me? He asked. He didn't have an excellent reputation regarding authority either, the Hokage eyed him. There was softness around his eyes that looked as if he was about to laugh. Because you are not a slicker for rules either, Kakashi. You know how to see underneath the underneath and adapt accordingly. Naruto needs to be able to see the underpinnings so he can understand why the rules are there. He and Sasuke also need to learn how to move on. Kakashi understood then why he was chosen for this team. Very well, he said. I will gladly be their teacher if they pass the test. If, the Hokage nodded in acknowledgement. He still didn't tell Kakashi to ease up, so he didn't. The alarm rang at noon and Kakashi sighed. Finally, the morning was over. He just needed to retrieve his students from their respective places, then he could get something to eat. Sakura had been exactly as he predicted. She was the weakest of the 3 in terms of practical techniques, still feeble in mind and body, and the least imaginative. Sasuke was truly a surprise. He had been trained well in ninjutsu and was the smartest in its application. His strength was also his greatest weakness. He was too proud for his own good and did not spend adequate time studying his enemy. As for Naruto, well, Naruto was definitely problematic. He was chaotic and imaginative, leading him to be unpredictable in the use of his techniques. But he wasn't a clear thinker, unlike Sasuke, and he was governed too much by his rage, a rage directed at his teacher for reasons Kakashi couldn't fathom. It might be the thing about authority figures the Hokage had mentioned, but that in itself was worrisome. If Naruto's aggression was a sign of emotional instability, he might need more help in handling the boy than the Hokage thought. The thing that alarmed him the most was Naruto's behavior when he came to retrieve him with Sasuke and Sakura. He had expected him to calm down somewhat, but not cheerily greet them while whining about his arms falling asleep. He mostly tried to get Sakura's attention. He definitely got Kakashi's, who did not believe that anyone raging just an hour earlier would be in such high spirits shortly after. But Kakashi didn't say anything about it. He told them what they needed to be told. They failed. They were pathetic and a disgrace. Honestly, Kakashi often wondered what they taught in the academy that made all the students he had ever encountered such blatant failures. They all took it hard, of course, as he analyzed every single mistake they had made. They needed to realize that being a ninja was vastly different from what they imagined it to be. Sakura looked on the verge of tears at the end of it, although she was good at asking questions for clarification. Sasuke lost it and tried to attack him, but failed. As for Naruto, he shouted and screamed. If he wasn't tied up to a tree, he would probably have attacked Kakashi, too. He was seething but also processing what the Jounin had said. Out of the 3, Naruto seemed to be the closest to understanding what it really took to be a ninja. He even knew about the memorial stone, undoubtedly from visiting it himself. The name Yumino Irika was carved there, after all. Yet, he could not surmise the purpose of the training. I will give you one more chance after lunch, Kakashi said. Naruto, you don't get to eat anything. The 3 of them were stunned. Even Sasuke looked like he needed an answer. Of the 3, you failed the hardest, he said. Your tactic is that of a common punk. You are driven almost solely by your emotion. I have told you this before when I left you to reflect on it. I want you to reflect some more in light of what I just said. Sasuke looked like he was about to protest, but Kakashi turned to him. You'll be tied to a tree as well if you say another word, Uchiha. You and Sakura can have lunch, but don't give anything to Naruto or you will fail. He needs to think. In truth, Sakura was actually the one who failed the hardest. Her emotions were all over the place and she couldn't even counter him. But he needed to observe Naruto's mood. If the profile was correct, Naruto would be beyond angry with Kakashi. He needed to know what the boy might do. He didn't wait for Sakura to recover from the shock or for Sasuke to come up with a protest. He was the rule. He told them that and disappeared, leaving the kids among themselves. Sakura, as shaken as she was the first to reach for the lunchbox. Sasuke seemed deep in thought for a while before he reached for his as well. Naruto held his chin high and ignored the growling of his stomach. There was a seething silence again, but he didn't share his thoughts with his teammates. Kakashi noticed Sasuke watching Naruto as his stomach growled on. Then, surprising all of them, he held his lunchbox towards the blonde boy. You'll slow us down if you don't eat, he said. Naruto just blinked at him without comprehension. But Sasuke-kun, if Kakashi-sensei, Sakura began her protest. I don't sense him anywhere close by. We'll be alright, Sasuke reassured her as he began to pick a roll up with his chopsticks and held it to Naruto's mouth. Besides, people can't think with an empty stomach. His order is just bullshit. Sakura coughed at the comment. Naruto, finally comprehending what was going on, opened his mouth and ate the roll. Satisfied that Naruto was eating, Sasuke picked another roll and ate it with the same chopsticks. Sakura made another distressed sound before she slapped her face twice, picked up her box and chopsticks, and came to stand in front of Naruto. You can have mine too, she said as she picked up a bite-sized piece of sausage. You won't get enough from just sharing Sasuke-kun's lunch. Naruto ate the sausage quickly with a smile. Sakura-chan's lunch is the best, he said with a wide smile at her. Sasuke rolled his eyes, muttered something about ungrateful dopes, and fed him a piece of sweetened egg. Yours isn't bad either, Sasuke, Naruto said and beamed at both of them. Thanks, so much for observing Naruto handling his anger, but, in all honesty, this was much better than anything Kakashi could have hoped for. Sakura was elated. She passed the genin test. She was in the same team as Sasuke-kun. Kakashi-sensei might be creepy, but he was totally cool in his own rather eccentric way. The best part? Kakashi-sensei never passed anyone. They were the very first team. Being tested by the harshest jounin instructor ever, and passed was an icing on her 3-layer cake. She went home that evening with bounces in her steps. Her mother asked how her day was and she told her the news. There was much joy and celebration when her dad came in and hugged her tightly, telling her how proud he was. Her parents demanded the details. Sakura pretty much skipped the part where she fainted from Kakashi's genjutsu, and told them mostly about their lunch. With the mention of Naruto, the tension in the room changed. Sakura had noticed this for some time when she complained about Naruto coming after her. She had thought it was her parents' annoyance at her ranting. Sakura did that less and less these days. But this time, she knew it wasn't. She knew it was somehow because of Naruto. She finished her story and took a sip of the miso soup. The strange atmosphere didn't dissipate. Will you still be teaming with Sasuke-kun and Naruto-kun, Sakura? Her mother asked. Her voice was strangely strained. Yes, Ka-san. Sensei said the team members were chosen so that we can work on each other's weakness and strength. I'm really looking forward to training with Sasuke-kun, she answered excitedly. Was her mother's reply as she ate her food. Her father was oddly quiet. To-san, Ka-san, she began, is there something wrong with Naruto? She knew she was onto something when both her parents froze, albeit only briefly. Didn't he annoy you all the time in the academy, Sakura? He'll probably distract you from your work if he is in the team, said her mother. Yeah, he's annoying, Sakura said. I wish he isn't in the team sometimes, but I think if we have missions, he'll be alright. I mean, when he fought Kakashi-sensei, he was very focused and really giving his all. Kakashi-sensei still won, of course, but Naruto was a good fighter. She didn't tell them, of course, that she barely fought Kakashi-sensei at all. It was embarrassing to know that she was the weakest of the three. That was why she was really puzzled when Kakashi-sensei said Naruto failed the hardest and punished him. The more she thought about it, the more she was convinced that there was something important she wasn't aware of. Like the reason her parents became so tense about her teaming with Naruto, or the reason for Naruto's injury, for instance. But she was perceptive enough to know that they would not tell her, not matter what their objection was, so she played the part of a good, obedient daughter and finished her food. Sasuke trudged back into Konoha with rather heavy feet. He stopped for a takeout at a bento shop for dinner and went straight home like always. He shut the door with more force than he should and positively threw the bento on his kitchen table. Sasuke was frustrated. He passed the genin test, sure, so were 8 others including Sakura, who pretty much just fainted all the time. What would a test like that even mean if all it took was to share your lunch with your loser of a teammate? Fighting Kakashi was enlightening, of course. He never fought a jounin before, let alone someone at Kakashi's level. He had researched Kakashi before their meeting and was frankly impressed by the man's track record. Now he had a good sense of what he was supposed to work for. He knew he should start right away, but he couldn't concentrate, and that was the most frustrating thing. He couldn't take his mind off Naruto. He didn't really know the dead last. They just fought each other from time to time since they entered the academy. Naruto was loud, brash, annoying, frustratingly optimistic. Sasuke had seen him being bullied over and over in the academy, heard mean and outrageous gossips about the boy among the students and their parents. Still, Naruto remained unperturbed. He put his nose where it didn't belong and got punched or blamed for other people's wrongdoing. Sasuke never understood why he didn't just turn his back on others when they were never considerate to him. Sasuke would have done that many times over. That was to say, he knew Naruto had been through quite a lot, but all those times Sasuke had never known him to be an angry individual, not until today. The way Naruto fought Kakashi was fueled by pure rage. He had never seen Naruto fight like that, not even when they were positively strangling each other. If anyone was to be fueled by such emotion during a fight, it should be Sasuke, but he had long learned how to keep his head cool in those situations thanks to a certain idiot. Then there was his right hand. If Naruto got into a fight epic enough to break a hand, Sasuke would expect Naruto to be talking non-stop about it even if he lost. Naruto said nothing. He was basically out of energy during the briefing, something Sasuke had never thought possible. He trained hard to be able to use his left hand for the test, but Sasuke could always see the strain on Naruto's body as he kept pushing himself further and further. Admirable but also incredibly stupid. Then there was the message from the Hokage. Sasuke was sure he wasn't supposed to hear the conversation, but he wasn't quite out of earshot yet when an ANBU arrived to tell Kakashi and Naruto that the Hokage would like to see them as soon as possible. They didn't ask what about, but the look on their faces said they shared a knowledge. Naruto nodded and turned to Kakashi, demanding that they go at once. Sasuke was tempted to follow, but this was the Hokage's office, for crying out loud. He would be dead if he went around snooping, so he walked home, trying to get his curiosity under control. It didn't quite work. Something happened to Naruto, something bad. That was all he could tell. Did one of those people hostile to Naruto beat him up? No, that had already happened then. Sasuke's thoughts stopped at Iruka-sensei. Naruto was known to be fond of the teacher, although he was strict to the boy. At least he looked Naruto in the eyes when the boy asked stupid questions, and everyone knew Naruto was an attention whore. He heard that Iruka died just a few days before their briefing. The timeline perfectly coincided with Naruto's injury. Was Naruto involved in that fight? How? He heard that a forbidden scroll was stolen, and essentially the shinobi were in riot to get it back. It might have been a coincidence that Naruto got involved, but Sasuke wasn't a believer in coincidence. One possible scenario was that it was the idiot who stole the scroll, the kind of prank he would definitely pull just to show people that he could. Knowing the dope, Naruto probably planned to return it to the Hokage in the morning, being all smug for bypassing the security. But Iruka found him first. Then, no, this picture was incomplete. There was something else missing. Mizuki's dead? The word that came from Naruto's mouth sounded like pure disbelief. Hiruzen nodded. His brain had swollen quite badly. The doctor was unable to ease it even after surgery. We had to let him go, he added. Serve the bastard right, was the reply from Naruto. His voice was hoarse and hollowed, layered with anger, and sounded lost. Hiruzen sighed. Naruto, do you understand what this means? He said. His own voice was like that of a tired old man to his ears. Naruto just looked at him with a blank stare. That I have avenged Iruka-sensei? The boy said, although he seemed uncertain. Hiruzen shook his head. That is true, Naruto. However, Mizuki was a chunin. Why do you think he wanted a forbidden scroll? To get stronger, of course, Naruto replied with confidence. Hiruzen shook his head again. He wouldn't even have a chance to learn the jutsu before we found him. What do you think we do to people caught stealing those kind of things? Naruto gave him a blank look again. This time Kakashi, who had been quiet the whole time, spoke. He would have been trialed as a criminal, stripped of his rank, and possibly had his chakra bounded. He wouldn't be a ninja anymore. Naruto gulped. He looked again at Hiruzen. There was fear in his eyes. That would not be your fate, Naruto, although I hope you keep that in mind if you ever thought of stealing forbidden scrolls again, he said with a gentler voice. Naruto nodded. The point is, Mizuki's life couldn't have remained the same after he got his hands on the scroll. Mizuki might not be an elite ninja, but he was smart enough to know this. The only reason he would act so brashly is either because he would never be found with the scroll, or he would be gone with the scroll. In both cases, he was working for or with somebody. We want to know whom. Naruto seemed to caught up with them then. So if Mizuki's dead, then we don't know who it is, Naruto muttered. Precisely, Kakashi said. You stealing the scroll was the setup by Mizuki, so he could get his hand on the scroll. Mizuki getting the scroll was a way for an outside enemy to obtain Konoha's secret. The underneath of the underneath. If you weren't driven by rage, then Mizuki might have been subdued without threatening his life, and we would have learned the truth. What would you have me do? Naruto shouted at Kakashi. He was positively on the verge of tears. Have you ever watched the person you love got killed? The only family you ever have? I'm not sorry I killed him. Don't guilt trip me. The last part was shouted to Hiruzen more than Kakashi. The Hokage sighed again and gave a stinky eye to Kakashi. Sometimes the man just had no tact. It wasn't my intention, Hiruzen said. I just want you to understand that there is a bigger picture here. Sometimes an explanation can help ease the pain left behind. Naruto seemed to have calmed down. He nodded, then asked, is there still a way to find out who it is? Perhaps, Hiruzen replied. They might try again. We have to be ready this time. Naruto looked at him and nodded. He sniffed loudly and said, okay. Hiruzen walked over and patted the boy's head gently. Watching Naruto being like this broke his heart. If anyone was to be blamed for this boy's suffering, he was sure it was him. Kakashi gave them a few days of rest after the test, mostly for Naruto's hand to recover from the fight. Naruto might try not to show it, but the pain had come back from overusing. Even Sakura noticed his occasional winces, so Naruto took his order grudgingly but stuck to it. On the fourth day they started a mission because Naruto insisted that his hand was fine again, so Kakashi got them an easy one, a babysitting job. None of them were very appreciative of the choice, but they followed his orders anyway. After all, they knew that Kakashi was serious about punishing them if they stepped out of line. On the next mission, they helped prepare for a 3-day festival in the east part of the village. Sakura had been to this festival before and was talking non-stop, describing the shops she saw. Her attempt to gain Sasuke's attention failed as the Uchiha only focused on building a booth, not that it made her falter. Sasuke-kun, would you like to come to the festival with me? She asked with a wide, cheery smile. His mother taught him that a direct question required a direct answer, so he replied, no, we have missions. Then he proceeded to put a nail through a plank. Sasuke looked a little confused. But the festival goes on at night too. Maybe we can have dinner and… I don't like festivals, Sasuke said with finality. He put another nail through the same plank and gave it a shake to make sure it was sturdy. Why don't you ask Naruto? He would be happy to come with you. Out of the corner of his eyes he could see Naruto winced a little. He was sanding the side of the booth that Sasuke had finished. For a moment he thought the dope hurt his right hand again, but Naruto was only using his left. Noticing Sasuke's stare, Naruto paused and said, don't be an asshole, Sasuke. She asked you, not me? Don't shove me in her face. You shove yourself in her face. That's different, bastard. Could you two please not talk about me like I'm not here? Sakura interjected as soon as she finished putting up the street decoration nearby. She sighed. What if all of us come as Team 7, with Kakashi-sensei, would that be fine? Sasuke lifted an eyebrow as he turned back to her. She was really desperate to spend some time out of work with him, he could tell. To his surprise, it was Naruto who said, sorry, Sakura-chan. I can't. Sakura looked surprised. She probably thought Naruto was as desperate for her as she was for Sasuke. Why not? She asked. I have training to do, Naruto said lamely. Oh, okay, replied Sakura. She sighed again and went back to work. The street decoration she had to put up took her to another side of the street, a good 10 meters away, so Sasuke turned to Naruto. Why don't you just tell her you don't like festivals? He asked. Naruto's expression was that of a trapped animal. What do you mean? Sasuke rolled his eyes. He said, we'd already be training anyway. Taking an evening off is not a big deal. Your excuse is just lame. Shut up, bastard. As if yours were fantastic. I was honest, Sasuke said and went back to nail another plank to the wooden frame, the last one on this booth. Naruto didn't say anything as he turned back to sanding the rest of his side. Sasuke finished his work first since Naruto's had to follow after his, and there were plenty of street decoration for Sakura to put up. Because of that, Kakashi saw it fit to send him for snacks and sodas from the end of the street. Sasuke sighed and took the shopping bag from the Jonin. Shopping duty was not his things, especially when mothers and daughters alike would dote and nag him. He got free stuff sometimes, but it wasn't worth it. It took him some time to extract himself from a rather forward civilian girl manning the booth for snacks and sodas for the festival workers. When he came back, Naruto was nowhere to be seen. He finished his job, so he said he'd like to leave. Said he wasn't feeling well, Kakashi told him when Sasuke asked. It didn't make sense. Kakashi said they had to stay together until the end of the mission no matter whose job got done first, and Sakura was still working. Why did you let him? Sasuke asked. It was against Kakashi's usual code, so it had to be something serious. The dead last looked fine all day, so it was clearly not his health. Unless did he hurt his hand? No, Sasuke, but it's touching to see that you care, Kakashi said with a face-crinkling smile as Sasuke blushed in embarrassment. Sakura is almost done anyway. Why don't you take Naruto's share of snack and soda to him, and see how he is doing? Sasuke could really tell something was up. He just couldn't figure out what, so he nodded and put Naruto's share in his backpack. He finished his share as Sakura finished up her job and took her portion. They parted ways shortly after, Sakura thankfully not nagging him about a date, and Sasuke headed over to Naruto's apartment. Nobody replied after the first knock, the second, or the third. Running low on his patient, Sasuke stepped back and kicked the door with his foot. Open up, you dead last, he shouted, probably startling the neighbors. That the dope's punishment for making him wait. He heard quick footsteps from behind the door before it flung opened. Within was Naruto, half naked, clearly bathed, right arm haphazardly put on a sling, with a few ugly cuts and bruises on his torso. "What the hell, bastard?" Naruto growled. "You're trying to get me evicted or something?" Sasuke just handed him the snack and soda. "Kakashi told me to give this to you," he said. Naruto blinked at him, at the objects in his hands, then back at him some more. Thanks, but you can keep it." Sasuke's temple throbbed. "You moron, I walked across town to give this to you. This is how you show your appreciation. What do you want me to do? Bow down at the mercy of the great Uchiha Sasuke?" "Forget it, bastard." Sasuke was about to yell something back when a neighbor poked her head out and shouted at them both to shut up or she'd tell the landlord to evict Naruto. Naruto didn't reply to her. He held his chin up and retreated into his room, leaving the door wide open for Sasuke to follow right in, and cringed. Naruto's apartment was more of a dumpster than anything. The floor was full of things, some unnamed and unrecognizable. Sasuke was quite reluctant to take off his shoes. Naruto must have seen this because he said, "Don't bother, bastard. I'm just gonna explain to you why you can keep my share and you can just leave afterwards. The problem is I can't open the soda bottle or the snack bag like this." Sasuke looked at Naruto's right hand and felt himself a fool. "Get it now? Now leave, I have to get back to Erm." Naruto's voice trailed off like he didn't know which word to use. But Sasuke didn't move from his place by the door. He asked, "When did you last clean the room?" For a brief moment, Naruto looked like he was in distress, but he schooled it quickly. "It's my apartment. I'm not asking for your." "A direct question needs a direct answer, Naruto. When did you last clean?" Naruto looked at his right hand in the sling and scratched the back of his head. "Figure," Sasuke said. He stepped into the kitchen, his shoes still on, and dropped his backpack on the table. Naruto blinked at him in confusion, but as soon as he realized what was going on, he grabbed Sasuke's arm with his left hand and shoved him back slightly. "I don't need your pity, bastard. I can handle this when I'm better. You'll probably be kicked out of here before that, moron. No wonder they threatened you with eviction." "This place stinks," Sasuke said before he asked, "Where are the garbage bags?" Naruto blinked again and pointed to a cupboard. Sasuke got himself past the pile of milk cartons and shoved open the cupboard full of cleaning supplies. It probably took him a good half an hour to clear out all the garbage in the kitchen with Naruto's help, and another 2 hours scrubbing the surfaces within inches of their lives. He threw out everything that expired in the cupboard, much to Naruto's protest, and cleaned the dishes. By the end of a long 3 hours, the kitchen was a livable space with the floor clean enough to walk on bare feet. Naruto made them instant ramen, the only carb he had in the house, and topped it with some jerky that Sasuke checked hadn't expired. They ate in silence for the next 15 minutes in complete and utter exhaustion. Thanks," Naruto said as he put his chopsticks down. "Next time don't do that, bastard. I don't like being in debt to people, but yeah, thanks again." It was a lousy, offensive way of showing appreciation, but Sasuke, oddly enough, sort of get it. He hummed an acknowledgement before taking the last slurp of his ramen. Instant ramen was all kind of disgusting, but he was oddly okay with it. Kakashi knew the Hokage was going to give him a long lecture, if not take his head off altogether, for his decision to continue to the Wave Country despite the fact that their little escort mission was definitely not C rank. The mission categories existed so that the shinobi got missions that they could handle and fair pay in return for their skills and time. Doing a B rank mission under the guise of a C rank was not worth it for most cases at least. After listening to Tazuna's plight, it was hard not to sympathize with the bridge builder. Of course, he dallied and threatened to abort the mission just to get Tazuna to open up about all the mission parameters up front. Kakashi knew from that conversation how dangerous the mission was going to be, but they didn't have much choice in the matter. The safest options were to get Tazuna either back to Konoha or back to his bridge as soon as possible. Getting him back to Konoha wasn't really an option because the man wasn't loaded enough to get a shinobi team for the B rank this mission really was. Most likely he was going to go back to Wave Country empty-handed in clear and present danger. He wouldn't survive that trip, and that would lie heavily on Kakashi's conscience. His team was divided on this. Sakura wanted them to turn back because they were clearly operating outside the established mission parameters, something she wasn't really comfortable with. Sasuke was indifferent as long as he got to kick some serious ass. Naruto was desperate to get this mission underway. Kakashi could understand why. Naruto was outdone by Sasuke by a wide breadth when the Mist Ninja attacked them. Naruto wasn't thinking fast enough to do more than put himself between the enemies and Tazuna. Sasuke, on the other hand, showed great calm and creativity in handling the situation. Naruto looked positively livid when Sasuke taunted him about it afterwards. To Kakashi's ears, it had sounded like a tease, a harsh one, to be sure, but still a tease. Kakashi noticed that Naruto hadn't taken it that way at all. To him, it was a very personal attack. His hand had clutched on the kunai as he stared back at Sasuke like he wanted to put the thing through the Uchiha. Kakashi was mainly concerned with how touchy Naruto was, so he reminded the boys kindly that there was the mission they needed to think about in an effort to get Naruto's mind off the little jab and back to work. Both Naruto and Sasuke was well behaved the rest of the way. Sakura, however, was slightly rattled, so Kakashi encouraged Naruto to stick by her while Sasuke was mainly to shadow Tazuna. He didn't know if it was the correct decision since Naruto gave Sasuke dirty look more often than not. When they had crossed the ferry to Wave Country, they thought the hardest part was over. As it turned out, it had just begun. By the time they reached Tazuna-san's house, Sakura was basically drained. She, Naruto, and Sasuke-kun had taken turns dragging Kakashi-sensei's limp body with them from the pond where they fought Zabuza. Knowing that a dangerous man like Zabuza was dead had made the burden a little lighter, but just barely. They were greeted by Tazuna's daughter Tsunami, who graciously laid out a futon for their teacher in a room set aside for them. Sasuke had been the proper young Uchiha lord with their host while Naruto was Naruto. An orphan boy grown up mostly on his own could hardly be expected to have good manners. His manners aside, the fact that he was an orphan got her thinking. She had never heard any gossip about Naruto's parents, which was strange for a village like theirs where people generally knew others in their community very well, especially if they were shinobi. They must have been civilians, she concluded. They were probably casualties from the day Kyuubi attacked. Wait, back up a bit, Sakura. When was Naruto born again? She didn't know, not precisely. She was born the same year the Kyuubi attacked the village most of the students in the class were, so she assumed Naruto was born sometime that year, too. But if her hypothesis on Naruto's parents being casualties of the attack were to be true, she needed to know his birthday. She waited until Sasuke-kun left to clean himself up before plopping down next to Naruto, who was watching over Kakashi-sensei's unconscious form. Not that that was really necessary. They just felt that they needed to do something without imposing on the host. Say, Naruto, she began. She could feel his eyes watching her. When's your birthday? Naruto stared, then smiled, then positively sported a shit-eating grin. Sakura-chan, do you want to go out with me now? Do you finally see that Sasuke is a jerk? He rambled and leered. Not the real leering, actually. She didn't know why she didn't see it before then, but Naruto's behavior, especially around her, was like he was copying a character out of a crappy rom-com. She hit him in the head and said no. And answer my question. When's your birthday? Ow, you don't have to be mean like that. And it's October 10th. Why? It was the day the Kyuubi attacked. Sakura wanted to congratulate herself on her success in forming a workable hypothesis, but then the curious blue eyes reminded her that she hadn't given any reason for asking yet. Well, we're teammates now, right? I thought we might need to know each other a little better. Naruto's face seemed to lighten up. Really? Are you going to tell me your birthday too? Can I get you a present this year? He said with a wide smile on his face. Sakura sighed. What did she just do to her life? It's March 28th, she said. A spark of genius hit her then. I'd prefer you don't get me anything, but if you do, you have to get a present for Sasuke-kun too, or I'll return yours. What? Naruto positively shouted. Does the bastard even celebrate his birthday? Language, Naruto, Sakura reprimanded. She felt like a mother. And it doesn't matter if he celebrates it or not. A present shows our thoughts for him. And his birthday's July 23rd. Remember that. Naruto looked at her and huffed. Okay, he drawled, if you say so, Sakura-chan. She smiled. Naruto wasn't that hard to deal with after all. I insist, she said with a wide smile on her face. Sasuke walked into the room then. Naruto looked at him and said, My birthday's October 10th and Sakura-chan's is March 28th. Remember that, huh? Was Sasuke-kun's reply. He looked at Sakura like he was accusing her of giving Naruto weird ideas. Sakura just blushed, because technically she had. Oh hell, that's a girl's life. By the time Sasuke sat down to take his place watching over their teacher, he was relieved to see that Naruto was no longer angry at him. Sure, it was days since he teased Naruto, but the boy seemed really hung up on it. Sasuke didn't get it. They called each other names all the damn time, but somehow that one riled Naruto up enough that they could have gotten into a serious fight. It didn't make sense, and that bothered the Uchiha greatly. He didn't think Naruto was going to be a danger to him if he really did try, but a mood swing like that did not seem normal or healthy. He wondered what Kakashi thought of it because it was obvious that everyone noticed. Their teacher, however, didn't say anything and simply tried to get Sasuke and Naruto to spend the least amount of time with each other, not that Sasuke minded. He didn't like touchy people anyway. He was glad that whatever was on Naruto's mind had finally cleared, because it would have been really awkward sitting together like this otherwise. Everything was normal again. Naruto was trying to chat with Sakura. Sakura was trying to drag him into a conversation. And he just sat it out, like always. After being more or less ignored for a good 10 minutes after Sasuke sat down, Naruto suddenly changed tactics. Sakura-chan, can you explain bloodline limits to me? That got Sakura to freeze in place. She turned and looked at Naruto. Didn't they cover that in class? She said. I might have fallen asleep during class. Long lectures are tiring, you know, Naruto replied, scratching the back of his head. And I've never seen one until the Sharingan. I didn't think it was that important, dumbass, Sakura screeched. Hinata-chan was in our class and she's got the Byakugan. Didn't you notice? Naruto just shook his head. He just thought her eyes were different, that was all. Alright. Then let me explain it to you, Sakura said. It seemed that what she couldn't stand the most was ignorance. Bloodline limits are special abilities that can be passed down through genetics. When a man and a woman creates a child, half of the genes of the father and the mother combine, so it is possible for a child to have either or both of the parents' abilities. The clan system among shinobi is mainly to preserve these abilities. For example, the Sharingan is a Digitsu passed down in the Uchiha clan, the Byakugan passed down in the Hyuga clan. Wait, does that mean the bastard has Sharingan too? Naruto interrupted as he pointed rudely at Sasuke. Sakura hit him on the head again for his language. Being in a clan doesn't mean you'd necessarily have the ability, dumbass, he interjected. The gene might not express in an individual if it gets suppressed by other factors. Sharingan, for example, is not expressed from birth like Byakugan. Only under special circumstances can Sharingan be awakened. Special circumstances? It was Sakura asking this time. What circumstance would that be, Sasuke-kun? Tragic circumstances, was all Sasuke dared say, because he didn't quite know himself. If what was said were true, he should have awakened his Sharingan already, but he didn't remember noticing anything different in his field of vision. He didn't dare try to recall the memory of that time, either. What happened to his family seemed like a blur of jumbled-up emotions, of one image after another. Sasuke remembered waking up the next morning and feeling lost, in time and space, like what was left was darkness. He hadn't dared shed light on it since. Something in his expression might have given him away, because Sakura didn't ask any further, and Naruto was watching him closely. There was something like pity in his eyes, and Sasuke hated it. Naruto was probably just as uncomfortable about it as he was since he quickly changed the topic. Wait, does this mean Kakashi-sensei is secretly an Uchiha or something? He doesn't look like you at all, bastard. The insult tore down the tension and brought them back to familiar territory once again. No, that's a transplant, Sasuke replied. Sakura exclaimed. Transplant? It was known among the Uchiha that the Sharingan can be transferred to another, usually within the family, Sasuke said. A transplanted Sharingan can be activated or deactivated at will for an Uchiha. Kakashi can't do that. He had to keep his Sharingan eye closed when not in use so he doesn't get double vision, which means he doesn't have the bloodline limit. He's the first outside the clan I've known to have the eye. Ah, right. Usually clans are protective of their bloodline limit, aren't they? Sakura said with a nod. Naruto just watched Kakashi and frowned. If that's a transplant, then something had to happen with the original owner, right? Naruto asked. Who gave it to him then? Sasuke didn't think it was their place to know, although he would love to find out. Naruto was still watching his teacher, deep in his own thoughts, when Kakashi suddenly opened his eyes and sat up. Naruto jumped back on instinct and landed on his rear. He was satisfied to know that Sasuke did exactly the same thing. Most likely Zabuza is alive, declared Kakashi in his state of unquestionable wakefulness. Naruto really didn't know how to take that news. Part of him was horrified at the prospect. Another part of him was rather satisfied with it. Watching Zabuza being taken down by a young hunter Nin was like watching a titan fall from having an aneurysm. It was anticlimactic, if not a little sad. You could be so strong and still die from something as little as that? As being punctured by two Senbon? Did that still mean Zabuza was strong? What did it mean to be strong? But Zabuza was still alive, saved by those Senbon that momentarily killed him, so trying to find an answer for this situation was pointless. He focused instead on Kakashi's compliment, that he had gotten stronger. Naruto, however, was under no illusion that he was strong yet. Sasuke still outdid him. Sakura was still smarter than him. When Kakashi said he would train them, Naruto was more than eager. When Kakashi said it was tree climbing, the eagerness ebbed by a bit. But when he fell down from the tree trunk just a meter above ground while Sakura could climb to the branch, the fire was ignited again. Competing with Sakura wasn't the first thing he had in mind. It was always Sasuke he looked to as the milestone, but this time Sakura outdid even Sasuke himself, so Naruto was going to change his aim. He was going to have better chakra control from this than Sakura. Sasuke could just be his loser self. The problem was that Sasuke wasn't a loser, or at least he didn't stay a loser very long, anyway. Damn it, Naruto swore as he looked at the mark on the tree trunk. He hadn't gotten much higher from his first try at all. In all honesty, he could have gotten that high just from running full speed up the tree without the use of chakra. He wasn't doing this right. Something was missing big time, and he didn't know what. His eyes fell on Sakura, who was sitting and panting from exhaustion under another tree. She had climbed to the top and back twice already, but Kakashi said that she should still do some more laps so the control became natural, and Sakura did so even when she was tired. That was what he liked about her. Hey, Sakura-chan, he said in a whisper as he crouched down next to her. Can you give me some hints? He asked. She looked surprised. After all, Naruto of the academy years would have bailed the whole thing by now. The current Naruto wasn't going to, not when Zabuza was out there for him to beat. Well, climbing the tree requires a precise amount of chakra like Kakashi-sensei said, Sakura began. Since chakra is tied to your life energy, it's also tied to your emotion. If you get excited, your chakra control will get worse. so you have to be calm from start to finish. You can't worry too much about where you're going. You only have to focus on the steps you're taking. Naruto blinked. If I don't worry about where I'm going, then how am I going to get there? He asked. Sakura sighed, thought about it for a moment, then said, fine, you still have to know where you're going, but you can't rush it. You're not just running to your goal as fast as you can, Naruto. You have to do it the right way, too. So if your first try can only get you 2 steps, then fine. Just be sure your feet stuck to the tree the entire 2 steps. Naruto listened, then nodded slowly. So you're saying I should focus on the tree? Sakura looked like she wanted to collapse for some reason, but then she sighed and said, yeah, focus on the tree. Your feet have to stick to the tree the whole time or it doesn't count, no matter how high you can go. Got it. Thanks, Sakura-chan, he said with a big smile as he got up. And Sakura-chan. If you want to do some stamina training, jogging is a good start. Or I think so anyway. Hee. He had to quickly run away afterward because he was feeling a little too awkward. He liked Sakura, liked her a hell of a lot, but he didn't quite know what to do around her when he wasn't trying to flirt. He went back to the tree, looked up at the marks he had done, decided that they were all bullshit, and began to concentrate on his feet. Focus on the tree, not the mark. Make sure my feet stick on it, he reminded himself before taking his first step, broke some of the tree's bark, then another, almost slipped, and then another, now firm and steady. His control wavered after 5 steps and he had to fall back. But now he knew what was supposed to happen. He knew how to make this work. Right, let's do this. And he ran up the trunk with a bit more speed. He got easily twice as high as his previous marks before falling back. He didn't miss the wide-eyed look Sasuke was giving him from the ground. This training was definitely worth it. When Kakashi returned, Sakura had actually jogged 3 laps vertically up and down and was about ready to fall face first. Naruto had made a record height of 3 times his first marking but couldn't reach it anymore, and Sasuke was clearly very frustrated. Kakashi decided to call it a day. The dinner Tsunami served them was delicious. Sasuke, who'd had manners so far, lost it entirely and gorged down the food. Naruto was doing pretty much the same. Even Sakura was eating more than normal, but was still enough of a lady to not fall to the same lack of manners as the boys. Sakura did very well today, Kakashi said after he told Tazuna what they had been up to. She had even run a few laps vertically. I think she can escort you to the bridge tomorrow after a few laps in the morning. Sasuke and Naruto are progressing, but they'd still need a few more days to train. Leave it to the girls for delicate stuff, huh? Tazuna chuckled. Tsunami offered Sakura congratulations even though she didn't fully understand what they were doing. Inari, Tazuna's grandson, just huffed. They're still going to die, the boy said before gorging on some more rice. Inari. Tsunami reprimanded him, but it was clear that he didn't listen to her at all. It's okay, Tsunami-san. We understand that he's just a kid, Sakura said with a smile, but her clutch on the chopsticks gave her away. Everything would have been fine if Inari learned to shut up. You're just a kid too, he said. You're all are going to die. This is so stupid. Sakura was positively furious by that point, but Naruto took things into his own hands and threw his chopsticks hard enough to jab Inari's forehead. The boy cried out in pain, but Naruto just huffed. Why did you do that? Inari screamed and started to cry. Tsunami and Tazuna looked horrified by the interaction. Naruto wasn't fazed. That's the difference between your kind of kid and my kind of kid, Snotface, Naruto said angrily. You get poked, and you cried like a baby. I get poked and I poke the fuck right back. Naruto! Sakura chided him, but Naruto was on a roll. I could have poked your eyes out, you know, and you didn't even try to protect yourself. You just sat there and took it. Who are you waiting for to save you? Your daddy? Tsunami and Tazuna looked really horrified now. Inari just screamed, you don't know anything. Fucking right I don't. I don't want to know your pathetic backstory. If you're not man enough to get over it, go fucking die. Naruto. This time Naruto did stop. Everybody stopped. Kakashi made sure that they would. He knew his voice could have that power. That was why he didn't use it often. I think you are done with dinner. Go take a walk please, he said. Naruto didn't argue. He just got up and left. The only sound they could hear for the next minute was Inari sobbing into his mother's side. The tension in the room didn't dissipate. I apologize for my student's behavior, Kakashi said as he bowed to Tazuna and Tsunami. He was out of line. He was, Tsunami agreed. Her voice was tight. Yes, but Inari was out of line as well, Kakashi said with a smile. Tsunami looked at him sharply. Like all doting mothers, she clearly didn't like him pointing out her child's bad behavior. He was the one who said Naruto was going to die first, so Naruto retaliated in kind. Like Naruto said, if anyone pokes him, he pokes right back. Tsunami was silent for a moment, then he didn't have to throw the chopsticks. I agree. That was dangerous. Naruto was trained to throw sharp things since he was smaller than Inari. That could have caused serious, if not fatal, injury. Tsunami looked horrified again. So did Inari, who clutched tighter to his mother. What kind of place is that, she began, that a child needs to learn to throw things like that? Kakashi sighed. It's sad, But it is this world we live in, Tsunami-san. To become a shinobi, one must train from a young age to fight and endure. Naruto in particular has endured more than most. He never had a family. No one to look after him or dote on him. Naruto has only ever had himself, and the way of the shinobi. Fighting is all Naruto has ever known, so he doesn't know how to give up or how to cry. Inari, still by Tsunami's side, was watching him as realization dawned in his eyes. He still didn't let go of his mother. Kakashi was glad he didn't have to. When he turned back to his students, he found Sakura looking at him. In her eyes was her own comprehension. She was wiping the tears from the corner of her eyes when Kakashi asked Sakura, "Where's Sasuke?" She whipped to the side. The chair next to her was empty. When Naruto started walking, he didn't know where he was going. His legs just took him down a familiar path, and before he knew it he was at the training ground where they had practiced that day. The markings on the trees was barely visible in the faint moonlight shadowed by the branches overhead. He pulled out a kunai and threw it at the tree trunk. It hit one of the marks with a satisfying thud. Naruto wasn't the best kunai thrower in his class, but he wouldn't miss a target like that from such a short distance. He walked over and pulled the kunai out of the trunk. Then he heard a rustle of the grass behind him, and to the right. He flipped the kunai in his hand, twisted around, and threw it. Sasuke dodged it. "What's with you today, dead last?" Sasuke said as he pulled the kunai from the ground. Naruto didn't know what to say, so he stared. "What? Something on my face? What are you doing here, bastard?" he asked. "Making sure you don't throw this around too freely, that's what," he replied before throwing the kunai right back. It lodged itself snugly back into the tree. Naruto grabbed it and pulled it out again. "I don't need a babysitter. Go tell Kakashi-sensei that," he said before putting the kunai back into his pouch. Sasuke snorted in reply but didn't say anything, so Naruto stared at him with narrowed eyes. After determining that no one was going to win their staring contest, Naruto broke it. "So, what did Kakashi-sensei say?" he asked. "He basically told our host in a roundabout way that Inari started it first. You'll probably get some talking to, but I don't think it's bad." Naruto's eyes widened. "You're joking." "No, totally. I said fuck 3 times and hit Inari in the forehead, and you said I'm getting away with just the talking to? I'm not that much of an idiot, thank you." They fell silent again. Sasuke was looking at him like he didn't understand what Naruto was saying. "What were you expecting the punishment to be, Naruto?" Sasuke asked. He still looked confused. About what was beyond Naruto's comprehension. "Oh, I don't know. The usual? A few slaps on the face. Things thrown at him. Humiliated. Beaten up. Locked in a closet." None of that sounded like Kakashi's style, actually. Maybe tied to a tree without lunch. That sounded more like him. Sasuke's eyes narrowed now. "What's the usual?" he asked, but Naruto just shrugged. He didn't want to talk about it. He didn't like to talk about the punishments he got when he was tossed between foster homes or back in the academy. "Why does it matter?" Naruto retorted, putting his hands behind his head and turning away. He had learned to take any sort of punishment. He was good at it. Kakashi might be creative, but it would be hard to beat the collection Naruto had already known. He heard Sasuke grunt in frustration before the bastard shouted, "Don't you know how to give a straight answer, moron? Like you deserve one." Naruto called back. Before he knew it, he was already on his back and Sasuke was right on top of him, his pretty face marred by a scowl. Naruto threw a punch at him, but Sasuke grabbed his hand. The imbalance of the pressure on his chest allowed Naruto to turn them over. Sasuke kneed him in the stomach. Naruto bit his arm. Sasuke slapped him across the face. Naruto pulled at Sasuke's hair. It was a graceless fight. They were rolling on the ground like wild cubs. One moment Naruto was getting the upper hand, another Sasuke was beating him. But at least they didn't talk. Naruto didn't want to talk. This was much better than talking. The moon is already close to setting when they finally collapsed beside each other, breathing hard like they just had a spar. They sort of did, but not quite the usual one they had, and Naruto felt much calmer than he had when he got there. After a moment of them just catching their breath, Sasuke got up and asked, "Going back now?" The moon was still so beautiful in the sky. For a moment, he thought of lying there a bit longer, but he saw the marks on the tree and said, "Yeah." When Kakashi opened the front door late that night, he found Sasuke and Naruto standing side by side. Sasuke was looking directly at him. Naruto was looking at the ground, hands in his pockets, his right foot scratching his left leg. They were both covered in dirt, scratches, and bruises that told Kakashi they were going at each other just recently. "Naruto wants to know what his punishment is going to be," said Sasuke without as much as a hello, sorry, or thank you. Apparently, Sasuke was only polite when he needed to be. Kakashi looked at Naruto, who still wasn't looking at him, and sighed. "You two go wash and go to bed," he said. "I'll talk to you tomorrow, Naruto." Naruto looked at him with mouth agape and eyes wide, then nodded and walked obediently past Kakashi into the house. Sasuke followed a few steps behind with a glare sent to the back of Naruto's head. The furrow of his brow looked like confusion to Kakashi, but it could have been anything else. He looked at the clock, decided it was too late to deal with those two, shut the door, and went back to his futon. Morning couldn't have come fast enough for Sasuke. He woke up, cleaned up, dressed up, and went for breakfast. Sakura was already there when he arrived. Her smile was a little strained, but she was good at keeping the atmosphere around them light. Tsunami and Tazuna were as gracious as ever. Inari was more reserved, but that was an improvement in Sasuke's opinion. The atmosphere, however, turned tense when Naruto walked into the room with Kakashi. The blonde chanced quick glances at everyone and then proceeded to take his seat in silence. A silence that was just as loaded as the one on their walk back last night. Tsunami looked at Naruto oddly but handed him a bowl of rice. Naruto looked surprised but took it and began eating. Tazuna was just observing Naruto calmly, while Inari avoided looking at Naruto at all costs. Sasuke turned back to his food and found that he was also observed as well. Kakashi looked at him calmly then smiled before he turned to chat about their plans for the day. Naruto and Sasuke were to train, while Sakura would leave with Tazuna for the bridge. Tsunami packed them rice balls for lunch like she did the other day. She might not be comfortable with Naruto, but she was kind. Sasuke thanked her as he took the lunch boxes and headed for the door where Naruto was checking his weapon pouch. When Sasuke was about to put on his shoes, Kakashi came by him and whispered, "Try to get him to talk if you can, all right?" He didn't need to be told who his teacher was referring. He gave a curt nod to acknowledge that this was his mission for the day. He doubted it was going to be easy. Despite Naruto's tendency to run his mouth, he seemed oddly reserved when it came to things close to his heart. This would be a challenge, but Sasuke had never been known to back out of one. Sasuke spent his time on their way to the training ground formulating a plan to make the abnormally quiet dope speak up. But as soon as they arrived at the training ground, Naruto was back to himself again. He threw insults at Sasuke. Sasuke threw them right back. They were racing up the tree more times than either of them could count, Sasuke winning every one of them, of course. Before the morning passed, they were already sweating, shivering in the cool, humid air of Wave Country. Figuring it was good time to take a rest, Sasuke jumped down from the branch he was on and walked over to his backpack to get his water canteen. Naruto, on the other hand, was trying to concentrate for the next run. "Hey Naruto!" he called out, causing the blonde boy to lose his footing and land face first on the ground. From his gracelessness, Sasuke seriously wondered how he managed to graduate from the academy. "What the hell is your problem? Don't you see I'm trying to focus here?" Naruto retorted as he got up. Well, Sasuke opened his mouth but nothing really came out. Kakashi told him to get Naruto to talk, but Sasuke just realized right then that he had no plan of action whatsoever. "How was your chat with Kakashi?" he asked in the end. Naruto stared at him like he had grown a second head. "That's not your problem now, is it?" he replied. Again, Naruto was shrugging him off, like Sasuke was going to stop at that. "It's bad then?" he asked. "Well, not really," Naruto said after a pause. He went for his pack to get the water canteen as well. "Kakashi-sensei said he's not going to punish me because I did it in self-defense." "Well, that's good then." Then there was silence, signaling that the conversation had abruptly ended. Suddenly Sasuke felt inadequate for his mission. He didn't know how to hold a conversation at all. He didn't know how to coax Naruto into talking like Kakashi wanted him. Despite all the ninjutsu he had learned, he couldn't even complete an easy information-gathering mission. This was troublesome. Naruto," he began, not wanting Naruto to just go back to training before he at least gets something out of him. "I agree with Kakashi," he said. Naruto just looked confused. "I mean, Inari was a brat." "Yeah, I hear ya. And Tsunami and Tazuna are way too lenient with him." Naruto snorted. "Aren't all parents and grandparents like that, though?" Naruto said. "Not that I know, of course." Naruto was smiling, but it didn't reach his eyes. The self-deprecation was way too obvious for the Naruto he had known in the academy. He remembered that the blonde boy was an orphan. Nobody had any idea who his parents were, which was, come to think of it, rather odd. "I guess mothers are in one way or the other protective of their children like Tsunami, but my mother wouldn't let me get away with saying things," Inari said. Sasuke said. "Ah, good for her," Naruto replied but didn't say anything further. Sasuke wanted to kick himself. "Who raised you, Naruto?" The look of surprise on Naruto's face made him realize that the question was way too personal. He wanted to kick himself again for his tactlessness. Sasuke knew how to ask direct questions. His father was a straightforward man. But Naruto wouldn't answer a direct question, so how was he supposed to know what made Naruto reacted the way he did last night? A part of him wondered if Kakashi assigned this mission to him precisely because he knew Sasuke couldn't do it. By the time Sasuke was done kicking himself in his own head, Naruto had turned and looked at him with narrowed eyes. "You're talkative today, Sasuke. What's going on?" "Nothing is going on." "Too fast. Too suspicious. Bad move. Bad move," Naruto snorted. "As if I'd believe you, bastard." "The great Sasuke Uchiha deigns to talk to the class dead last is a very common occurrence indeed," he said. "We're teammates." "Can I talk to my teammate?" "You don't talk to Sakura-chan. She's not here." "Oh, you don't care about her at all. She adores the hell out of you and you just keep being A to her, instead of what? Feign interest in her?" "She would be in over her head." Do you know what's going to happen to Sakura once the rest of those insane girls realize I talked to her? Don't pretend you care, Uchiha. You don't. No, I don't. But at least I'm trying to cause as little trouble for her as possible, Sasuke finished. How the hell did it come to this? Why did every conversation with Naruto deteriorated to a fight, always? He hated this, hated not being able to get directly to the point and get out. Naruto just looked at Sasuke like he was completely baffled. Shit, I didn't know your brain is this screwed up. Same could be said of you, Uzumaki, Sasuke retorted. Once he was in a terrible mood, it was harder to stop. Aren't I doing a favor for you by pushing her away? Yeah? You know what, I don't want to be her second choice, Sasuke. I'd rather take her from you than having you hand her over to me. Sasuke just looked at him, completely baffled. You're really crazy, he said. So you want to compete with me for her like we compete on climbing trees, is that it? It's better if I earn her love than have her pity or yours. Sasuke just didn't know what to say to that. It made sense, but at the same time it was just insane. I don't pity you, moron. I don't like Sakura like that, so I don't want to encourage her by being a. Sasuke groaned. I just don't get it. Everyone loves you, but you don't want them to. You treat that love like trash. I wouldn't do that. Love is too precious for that. But why? Naruto's voice just trailed off. He put the water canteen away and just ran off to the tree. Even so, Sasuke heard the rest of it loud and clear. Why doesn't anybody love me? Sakura was sneezing quite a lot that morning, but she continued to sit on the bridge in the cool breeze watching Tazuna-san work and listening to the laborers talk. It wasn't good was all she could say. The morale was so low that the only thing that really kept the crew going was Tazuna's unwavering belief that this bridge would be for the greater good. That thought brought her back to the story of Inari's stepfather. Inari wouldn't even stay to listen last night. He went to his room to cry alone for the man who could have been their greatest hope. Sakura was shocked above all else by Gata's cruelty, but also by the inaction of the people. She might not be able to empathize more deeply because she had both her parents alive and well, but thinking about losing them was hard enough. Inari was too young to witness all this. Then again, so was Naruto. Naruto had no one, but somehow he remained optimistic and full of life. He was aimless, sure, but he was more focused now that they actually had missions. Kakashi-sensei even acknowledged that he'd improved the most in the group. It was probably because he wouldn't stop, not for anything. She liked that part of him, but somehow she felt like there was also something wrong with Naruto. She had never known him to be a bully. He wouldn't hurt another living being just because he could. However, the things he'd said and done to Inari were cruel. Sure, Inari was a brat, but there wasn't a need to go that far with a kid like that. Naruto had actually broken Inari. That was what Sakura realized this morning when Inari refused to talk to any of them. He'd reverted to basically clinging to his mother's side the entire time. She sighed. Oh hell. It was going to be tough to complete this mission to begin with. Bad relationships weren't going to help it at all. Sakura-chan, Tazuna-san said as he walked by, you looked rather pensive there. Missing your friends? Well, at least Tazuna seemed to be alright with them. Well, yes, she replied. She wouldn't actually call the three of them friends, not yet anyway, but they were getting there. Being alone guarding Tazuna was boring even when it meant that Kakashi thought she was that much better than the boys at Chakra Control, and she was, mind you. Anything I can do for you, Tazuna-san? She asked. No, not really, Tazuna said as he sat down. He was admiring his work even when there was a quarrel over it this morning. The bridge was nothing special in design, but Sakura could see that it was a labor of love. It might lack aesthetic appeal but definitely not heart. Say, Tazuna-san. When is the bridge going to be completed? Sakura asked. Tazuna looked at her with a smirk. Missing home already? He said with a chuckle. It's not like that, Sakura quickly corrected him. I mean, I do miss home, but I was thinking of how long will your life be in danger? Because even if Kakashi-sensei managed to defeat Zabuza, Gato wouldn't give up, right? If it would be for quite some time, then you might need to think of a long-term protection or find a way to deal with Gato. Tazuna looked at her thoughtfully. You're right, Sakura-chan, he said in a quiet voice. Even if the bridge is finished, if Gato's around, it can still be in danger. Gato hasn't pulled out all his cards yet. He still banks on the people giving up on it before he needs to do something really incriminating. He sighed. I think killing Kaiza publicly is incriminating enough, Sakura replied with a huff before she realized she might be mentioning something sensitive, but she continued. I mean, there should have been some retaliation to what he did even then. If a man like that can get away with murder once, he could do it again. Tazuna was quiet then. He looked forlornly at the bridge, still in pieces in various places, and said, I know hope alone isn't going to be enough. He paused. But that's the only legacy I know how to give, Sakura. I am not a fighter like you or your sensei. I will see it through that this bridge gets finished. But after that he shrugged, stood up, and got back to work. Sakura didn't get a chance to object that. No, he was a fighter. He might not wield a sword or a kunai, but he'd fought Gato back successfully for a long time. He drove Gato back, but he couldn't do it forever, not alone. She understood then why Kakashi-sensei seemed to value teamwork above all else. Fighting alone was tiring. She didn't realize it before because she was always surrounded by someone who would fight for her or with her parents, her teachers, her friends, Naruto, Sasuke-kun. She hoped those two were alright. By noon, Sasuke was exhausted enough that he was basically ready for a nap. Naruto wouldn't talk to him, wouldn't take a break, and he was making better and better progress, so that Sasuke felt like he really needed to improve to keep the distance between him and the dope. They were running up the trees and falling back down only to run again the moment their feet touched the ground. His focus was on the training so much so that he forgot about his mission for a while. When they finally took a break for lunch, though, Sasuke was reminded that half a day had gone by and he had made no progress whatsoever in getting Naruto to talk to him. He was half through his share of the rice balls when he decided, to heck with it. He was going to ask whatever he wanted to know, so he said, "What actually happened to Iruka-sensei?" Naruto was in the middle of biting on his rice ball and he choked violently on it. Sasuke was about to reach for his water canteen when Naruto downed his own and was finally able to breathe again. "What the hell, bastard?" Naruto asked. "Where did that come from anyway?" On hindsight, it was kind of out of the blue, so Sasuke explained, "I figured your broken right hand and Iruka's death wasn't coincidence. Whoever killed him hurt you too, right?" Naruto looked at him like he couldn't comprehend what Sasuke was saying, and for a moment he looked like he was about to talk, but instead he pressed his lips into a thin line. "I can't tell you," was Naruto's reply before he went back to his rice ball. That reply confirmed Sasuke's suspicion. The dope had something to do with the entire thing. "Why?" he asked. "Just can't," Naruto answered. "Don't ask anymore, okay?" So Sasuke didn't. He wanted to, but his voice died in his throat when he heard the tremor in Naruto's voice. Naruto didn't cry. He just put down his lunch, grabbed the canteen, and made an excuse to get more water. Sasuke thought of following for a time, but he didn't. It felt wrong to do so when Naruto was clearly grieving, had been grieving, in his silent, tearless way. For a moment, Sasuke was stuck in a predicament. He could follow Naruto and push him to talk, or he could just let him go, essentially giving up on his goal for the day. Sasuke didn't like giving up. He refused to give up time and time again in his life. That was how he lived. But he still remembered the morning after his parents' death. The people around him asked him questions, making him go through the experience over and over. The sympathy and pity in their eyes was a reminder that his life was torn to pieces. All he wanted to do then was hide, but he couldn't. He was an Uchiha, the last of his clan. He couldn't curl up and let the world fall apart around him. He ate the remainder of his lunch and wondered if that was what Naruto was going through. In the evening, they regrouped again at Tazuna's house. Sakura seemed a little pensive as she looked at the torn picture of Inari's family hanging on the wall. Naruto reported his progress and asked for permission to train at night. Kakashi reasoned with him that he needed rest to have productive training, but Naruto insisted that he needed extra time. After a long back and forth, Kakashi relented when he realized that his permission was just a formality. Naruto was going to go anyway. So he allowed the boy to train that night, but he had to come back to rest the next evening. Naruto agreed. Sasuke was probably the most interesting of the bunch. He waited quietly for Kakashi to finish his conversation with Naruto, then very quietly asked if they could have this conversation somewhere else. They took a little walk in which Sasuke informed him of how his attempt to talk to Naruto went. "I could not make Naruto talk to me," he confessed. From the look on his face, it had cost him something to admit it. "Ah," Kakashi replied thoughtfully. "Why is that?" "I don't know how to ask questions about sensitive things," the Raven boy said. Naruto also refuses to answer any direct question. What direct question? Like why was he expecting a severe punishment? Or what happened to Iruka-sensei? So Sasuke knew about Naruto's involvement in the fight that killed Iruka. Kakashi was out searching that night with the rest of the Jounin. He was also one of the first at the scene of the crime, although he didn't handle Iruka's body or Naruto. He knew for a fact that not a lot of people had actually seen the fight and all of them would keep their mouths shut. The fact that Sasuke already made inference about Naruto's connection to Iruka's death was a testimony to the boy's genius. Despite that, Sasuke was still a child, a grieving child, just like Naruto. Kakashi didn't say anything for a while as they walked to a waterfront. The sun was setting and the light turned everything a bright shade of orange. He led Sasuke to the end of the walkway, where he crouched down. Sasuke came to stand beside him but didn't do the same. "So you're telling me you completely failed at the task I gave you?" Kakashi said. Sasuke didn't answer, he just looked away. His hair hid the side of his face, preventing Kakashi from getting a good reading of him from a glance. He continued, "I didn't think you would succeed, actually." That earned him a glare from the boy, but he wasn't fazed. "What have you learned today?" Sasuke looked surprised. "That people are difficult?" Kakashi chuckled. "They always are, aren't they?" he said. "Getting to know someone, to truly see the person, can really be a challenge, and for a long time I didn't think it was worth doing." He turned to face the boy with a smile on his face, knowing Sasuke wouldn't see anything more than his eye. "But for a team to work, you need to know what makes your teammates tick. That also goes for your clients or targets. You can't always brute force your way through. You need to know people to work around them or with them. That ability is an asset as precious as any ninjutsu." At the end of his little speech, he got up and turned to the boy. I gave you this assignment because, despite all your genius, you are practically an imbecile in this area. Sasuke was positively glaring at him now, his fist clenched, but he didn't throw a punch, which was good progress in Kakashi's opinion. But you are quick when you put your mind to something, so keep trying. He turned to lead them back to the house, but Sasuke stopped him. Why Naruto? Why didn't you tell me to talk to Sakura or someone else? Kakashi sighed. You're a genius, Sasuke. You know very well why. Come on. We'll be late for dinner otherwise. Dinner was the complete opposite of last night's fiasco, although it was still rather awkward, in Sakura's opinion at least. Inari was as quiet as he was that morning, but Tazuna was positively cheery and Tsunami was warm, even with Naruto. But she guessed it was all right. After all, Naruto and Inari were just kids. They were bound to do and say stupid things and hurt each other. Adults knew that. They would try to get everything back to normal soon, of course, except that it felt wrong for Sakura. It was the amount of effort Tazuna-san and Tsunami-san put into including Naruto in the conversation. Tazuna insisted on hearing about Naruto's training even though Sasuke-kun had already delivered a pretty impressive and succinct report. Naruto was just as taken aback by this as the rest of them, but he appeased them with the details anyway. When he mentioned going out for training that night, Tsunami-san seemed perplexed. But you just came back, Naruto-kun, she said. It has been Naruto-kun for a while now. Why don't you rest for tonight, and start again in the morning? I'm sure your teacher is okay with that. Naruto made a quick pleading glance to Kakashi-sensei who just chuckled and said nothing else. Tsunami's right, you know, Tazuna added. You're not going to be able to beat Zabuza overnight. Let your sensei do the job. You can relax a bit. From her place on the table, Sakura could tell that Naruto wasn't taking that comment very well and the ripple were going out fast. Tsunami and Tazuna seemed tense all of a sudden. You can say that, Naruto said, but if I always think that someone is going to save me, when am I going to get up and do it for myself? Surprisingly enough, that comment got a response from Inari, who had been avoiding Naruto's sight like a plague all evening. For the first time in 24 hours he openly watched Naruto, even though it was from the table's edge. Now Naruto-kun, Tsunami said. The tone of her voice was that of a mother who thought her child was being unreasonable. You know very well that running up and down the tree all day isn't going to help you do that. Of course, it does. Naruto looked at her incredulously. Do you know something about shinobi training all of a sudden? Naruto, Sasuke chided, but Naruto wasn't listening. Tsunami and Tazuna seemed upset by his outburst, and rightfully so. Sakura was looking to Kakashi to stop another fiasco in the making, but he wasn't even paying attention to them. Naruto-kun, Tsunami-san began. How old are you again? Naruto was perplexed by this question. 13, he said. See? No matter what your teacher might say, you are still a child, Naruto-kun. At this, Tsunami-san sent a nasty look at Kakashi. You won't be able to beat Zabuza's experience or craftiness. Let the adults do our job, alright? It'll be your turn soon enough. Sakura recognized the tone then. The way Tsunami was talking to Naruto reminded her of her mother when Sakura was younger, and she just wanted so badly to go camping with the Yamanaka family. Of course, the Yamanaka family being ninja meant the camping was actually training time for their daughter Ino. Sakura thought it was so cool that Ino got to train outside Konoha. She tried to convince her parents to let her go with them, and fiercely defended her decision. Sakura's mother had sat her down and talked her out of doing it, saying that it would not benefit her to walk into danger like that. If only she knew what Sakura had to go through at a time like this. Naruto's answer was what startled her. Oh yeah, because adults have done a fine job so far, he said. The venom in his voice made her skin crawl. Everyone was taken aback, except for Kakashi who eyed Naruto quietly from his seat. She felt a movement under the table and saw Kakashi's feet kicking Naruto's lightly. Naruto looked at him, but the Jounin didn't say anything. He just gave Naruto a nod. Naruto huffed, finished his bowl of rice, and got up. Thank you, Tsunami-san. I'm off, he said and walked right out of the house. Tsunami and Tazuna watched him as he left. When the door clicked, Tsunami sighed almost in annoyance and got back to her food. That was when Kakashi spoke. He's not the easiest to please, is he? Tsunami gave him a glare. You didn't help either, sensei, she said. Well, I try not to interfere with my students' affairs. After all, they are genin. They're considered almost adults in my village. They're 13. Tsunami almost growled at Kakashi, who remained unaffected. She rolled her eyes in disbelief as Tazuna watched the exchange with concern. He was about to say something to Tsunami, but she spoke up first. This is how you treat your children? Leaving them to fend for themselves in danger? Is this why Naruto doesn't believe that adults will protect him? Kakashi took a sip of his tea as he seemed lost in contemplation. He finally said, well, Naruto's story is not mine to tell. All I can say is that his is a special case. Sakura could feel Sasuke's focus sharpen beside her, like a predator that suddenly caught a scent of his prey. People deal with the terror in their lives differently, Tsunami-san, Kakashi said. Placating the terror seems to be the practice in this town, so I completely understand your reaction. They were all gaping at Kakashi at that point. Tsunami looked positively furious as she stood up, ready to take on the Jounin. Sakura's reaction was to stand up and fall into a fighting stance beside her teacher. Tsunami looked at her in surprise before she became resolute. See that, she pointed to Sakura as she turned to Kakashi. Your children rushed right into things like that. They could get themselves killed, Kakashi sighed. He didn't budge from his seat, but he put the chopstick down. You see, that's where the difference is. Tsunami looked confused. You see confrontation as dangerous, as something that should be avoided. My kids don't see it as that, Kakashi said. Somehow him calling them his kids made Sakura's heart swell with pride. Confrontation is just a part of a conflict. It means something precious is at stake. They jump into the confrontation because they want to protect that precious thing. If they can do that, the danger was worth it. He paused. She suddenly noticed Inari, who was sitting still on his chair, hunching down like he wanted to be as small as possible. His gaze was as firmly on Kakashi as it had been on Naruto before. Sakura could see the gears turning in his head. Kakashi continued, Naruto is a child, therefore he does not know how to react appropriately in a confrontation. He takes extreme measures and hurts others because there is something precious he wants to protect, you. He takes this mission seriously. That is why even when he knows he can't beat Zabuza by training days and nights for a week, he would try anyway. Then he picked up his chopsticks and smiled. I think it's safe to say that this is just a little misunderstanding. Should we get back to our dinner? Tsunami definitely wasn't happy with the answer. She huffed and sat back down even though she clearly wanted to say something. Sakura knew there was nothing that could be said. She walked back to her seat and resumed her meal as well. For a moment, she thought of telling them what she thought about Tazuna's safety and what it would mean for this town, but she couldn't. She wanted the tension to abate, not be stirred further, so their dinner ended in silence. As always, Inari took his leave and went to his room. Tsunami cleaned the dishes. Sasuke cleaned up the table, and Sakura volunteered to dump the garbage outside. As she turned back from the dump site, she was surprised to see Inari there. His hands were behind his back and his eyes cast down as he asked, Can you teach me how to fight? Sakura was surprised to say the least, but soon it was replaced by overwhelming anxiety. Teaching a kid to fight? Well, sure, they were doing that in the academy for kids of Inari's age, but that was different. She understood the implication of Inari's request. He was going to protect his family himself, or at least try, anyway. Sakura wasn't entirely sure how to do this. I can. I'm not the best teacher though, she replied with a nervous chuckle. But you didn't have to train anymore, right? Inari said, suddenly bursting with raw, nervous energy. That means you're the strongest, right? Please, Sakura Nizan. I don't want to cry anymore. As he told her that, his tears began to stream down his face. He lifted his hand to wipe it off. It was then that she noticed the torn picture of a man in his hand, the missing picture of Kazai. She guessed she could understand why he needed to fight. She probably couldn't teach him about chakra or shuriken, but at least she could teach him to throw a punch. All right, she said. Since you asked so nicely, and you have a good reason, I'll teach you. Be prepared, Inari. I am not going to go easy on you just because you're a kid. Inari looked at her in awe, then grinned widely and nodded. When the light touched his face, Sakura knew that she definitely made the right decision. The flood of tears had completely stopped. The seventh day was when it all came to a head. Kakashi had been prepared for this. He knew Zabuza would attack at the first opportunity he could, given the slave driver Gato was. Naruto was drained from training, as anyone would rightfully anticipate, so they left him back at Tazuna's house with Inari and Tsunami. Before they left, he saw Inari putting on a makeshift helmet and strapping on his crossbow. He marched up to Sakura, saluted her, and told her he was going on patrol. Sakura saluted right back and nodded with a wide smile on her face. Well, he knew Sakura knew a lot about a lot of things, but he didn't peg her to be the teaching type. He was aware that Sakura had been teaching Inari basic combat strategies and how to fight, but he wasn't sure how serious either of them were. He could tell from that little exchange, though, that they were dead serious. Fortunately, the seriousness was completely lost on Tsunami, who still thought her child was playing soldier. Oh no, he wasn't playing, but Kakashi wasn't going to tell her that. It was a nice day. Kakashi was betting on good visibility to spot his enemy from afar. Sasuke was using a lot of his concentration on sensing chakra, and Sakura was basically Tazuna's shadow for the day. It turned out that he didn't need to spot anything, because Zabuza started the attack with the mist. Zabuza came with the hunterine that they thought had killed him, but sure enough Kakashi's hunch about the boy was right. He worked for Zabuza, not against him. And he was fast. Aside from Kakashi, the only person who could match Haku in speed was Sasuke, so he left the boys to fight each other off as he took on Zabuza himself. The mist prevented him from getting a good visual of what was going on with his students. Zabuza prevented him from interfering. He just had to trust them to do their job. They were genins after all. They were nearly adults. And there was always Naruto. Naruto was a terrible ninja by all standards, but he was the wild card in Kakashi's deck, the one he could bet on to throw their enemies off their game. From the past weeks since the beginning of their mission, actually he had seen how Naruto was able to work with Sasuke despite their contention. The two of them should be enough to take down Haku. What he wasn't betting on was the QB. The mist was too thick to see at that point, but the spike of that dark, sinister chakra threw both him and Zabuza off. Kakashi could almost feel Zabuza's rattling. He didn't know what Kakashi knew about Naruto, so it would be confusing. That allowed Kakashi to make the move he needed. Then, just as suddenly as it manifested, the chakra vanished. For a moment Kakashi was worried that Naruto got himself killed, but his chakra was still there. Whatever was the matter, Kakashi couldn't let it get to him, not as he summoned the Nindogs to pin Zabuza in place so he could finally kill him. Killing was Kakashi's least favorite part of being a ninja. He doubted it was Zabuza's favorite either. Funny to think that of a monster, but Kakashi just knew. Zabuza could have killed his target in many other ways many times over if he really wanted to, not that Kakashi was going to allow it, but he'd attempted it only once. However, Zabuza made a great show of fighting Kakashi since their first meeting. He knew he wasn't that much better himself. Funny that it was the killing that dulls the blade, not the aversion to it. He had to, though, because they were shinobi. Zabuza would not back down, so he wouldn't either. As lighting came to life on the palm of his hand, he told the man in front of him exactly why he needed to die. From the look in Zabuza's eyes, he knew that Kakashi was doing this for himself. He made a habit of it in his last year in the NBU whenever he could afford to. He rationalized his killing, so, he reasoned, both the killer and the killed could be at peace. His hand didn't go through Zabuza's chest, but Haku's. The boy used his great speed to stop Kakashi in the last second with his own body and his own life. For a moment, Zabuza looked just as shocked as he was. But only seconds later, Zabuza grabbed his blade and attempted to cut them both, although his movement was slower than before. They were too drained and injured. The fight would have to end soon, and it would be him killing Zabuza, or it would have been, if Gata hadn't shown his face on the bridge. It was stupid, clearly showing how Gata had become too egotistical over time. He was so successful and powerful that he thought he was basically invincible. The gang of misfits he had around him were jokers who couldn't take down Zabuza for their own dear lives, not even as injured and near death as Zabuza was. Kakashi just stood there and watched as Zabuza ripped them to pieces and killed Gata right there on bridge he tried to destroy. For the sake of the boy, Zabuza tried his best to not have feelings for. What an irony. Another irony was that they might have died from all the thugs let loose by Gata's death. A side effect of when the head of the gang got killed was the absolute anarchy that came with psychos running rampant. Kakashi had drained all his chakra. He couldn't possibly fight them all off. Naruto might be able to take down some with his shadow clones, but he wouldn't last long. Sasuke, although alive and awake, was too injured to risk engaging in a fight. Sakura had Tazuna to worry about. It was then that a bunch of people showed up with crossbows and makeshift weapons in their hands. In front of them was Inari and a bunch of kids, all equipped with their weapons. Sakura squealed from where she stood. Apparently, she knew this might happen. The people, along with Kakashi's and Naruto's shadow clones, were enough to scare off the thugs. The ones who didn't run got shoved off the bridge shortly after. Zabuza died not long after the ruckus was over. His last wish was to see Haku's face again. Kakashi carried him to where the boy lay and watched as the snow fell gently on their bodies and as Zabuza, taking his last breath, shed a single tear for the only person who had ever loved him. After that was the clean-up, which was just as messy as the fight itself. Kakashi managed to conveniently pass out at that point. When Sasuke opened his eyes, it was day again. He had a brace around his neck and so much bandaging he probably looked like a mummy. He couldn't move his head around, so he couldn't see who or what else was in the room, although he thought he heard breathing. He opened his mouth to say something, but his throat was so dry all that came out sounded like a hoarse cough. He heard creaking and footsteps soon before Naruto appeared at his bedside. He looked rather distressed, but when Sasuke muttered water he looked almost happy. Right, water, Naruto muttered to himself before pushing back and bending over to turn the lever that pushed the bed up. Sasuke was still inclining when Naruto stopped, but at least he wouldn't choke. Here, he said as he handed Sasuke a glass of water, holding the straw right to his mouth. I can do that, Sasuke said, then cough again. He didn't have the strength to protest when Naruto put the straw against his lips. He just needed water. Easy there. The doctor said you shouldn't use the muscles on your neck too much today. They don't want to patch you up again, Naruto told him as he drank. His callous fingers were right underneath Sasuke's bottom lip. When Sasuke finally let go of the straw, Naruto pulled back, taking away the heat of his fingers. Sasuke didn't know why he noticed that so keenly. He just did. Kakashi? He asked. Naruto motioned to somewhere beside his bed. Still unconscious. The doctor patched him up already, so nothing a good rest couldn't fix, he said. Tazuna? He's okay, replied Naruto. The bridge's construction is still on. Sakura-chan and Inari are taking care of him now. You should have seen Inari. That kid barged into his house with his gang when Gata's men tried to kidnap his mother and fought tooth and nail for her. You can tell he was scared shitless, but he loves his mom too much to back down, said Naruto with a wide smile. Sakura trained him really good, you know. She'll make an awesome teacher someday. Well, trained him well, not good, moron. Learn your grammar. Naruto scuffed. Gosh, and you have to be a first thing after you wake up. Sasuke let that slide. He had some snide comeback for that, but his throat wasn't cooperating. What about you? He asked. Naruto seemed surprised by that. Well, as you can see, I am well, replied Naruto, sarcasm dripping from his voice. Actually, Naruto seemed more well than well. He didn't appear to have any wound on him, or the scratches from the Senbon attacks even. His knuckles were bruised, but that was about it. Naruto looked like he didn't just came out of a major fight. But you were injured, Sasuke said. Naruto might not have become a pincushion, but he remembered the boy taking some hits. Nah, nothing major. The doctor took care of it, Naruto said with a shrug before looking away. After a week of watching Naruto, Sasuke knew to read that little gesture as a defensive reaction. Naruto didn't want to talk about it, like he didn't want to talk about a lot of things. Iruka and his upbringing, for example. Give me your hand, Sasuke said, stretching out his hand. Naruto looked at him, then to his hand like it was a snake, but complied, albeit reluctantly. I don't know what you're thinking, man. You're weird, he said. Sasuke just replied with a HN as he lifted Naruto's hand up to inspect the scratches and bruises. Nothing looked like a mark he saw on his own arm from the Senbon. He was sure Naruto got just as many scratches as he did, but there wasn't anything on his skin that said so. It reminded him of Naruto's injury as they came to Wave Country. Naruto cut the back of his own hand to let the poison blood out, but he didn't remember that injury when they were fighting Zabuza just days later. Something was not right. Before he could bring it up, the door burst open and in came Sakura. She looked like she was about to jump him now that he was awake, but then she froze when her eyes settled on Naruto's hand in his. It was Naruto that pulled away first. Sakura-chan, he said cheerily, jumping down from where he sat on Sasuke's bed. His hands went behind his head. How was today? Everything's great, Sakura replied once she got her voice back. Tazuna-san will be going home soon, so I thought I should drop by to let you know in case you want to come back with us. Naruto looked confused. But I thought you were here to see Sasuke, he said. Well, that too, she said with a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. She turned to him. I'm glad you're awake, Sasuke-kun, he acknowledged her with a HNN. He didn't know what else to say or do. Naruto looked between them like he was missing something before he said, Hey, Sakura-chan. How about I get Tazuna-san home and come back for you later, so you'll get to talk to Sasuke for a bit. Sakura looked confused for a second then said okay. Naruto smiled one of his bright smiles and told them goodbye before going out to find Tazuna. Once the door was closed, the room was silent again. Sakura didn't move from her spot in the middle of the room. She eyed him like he was a serpent ready to bite her. Sasuke sighed. What's with that attitude? He asked. Sakura was annoying when she was loud and being cheerful around him, but he didn't think she would be just as annoying when she was silent. She looked at him, took a deep breath, and asked, Do you like Naruto, Sasuke-kun? Sasuke stared at her. What kind of question was that? Apparently, his silence meant a yes for her. I'm sorry I interrupted the two of you, she said, looking like she was about to cry. I guess I should have known since that time that you went after Naruto when he was upset. You wouldn't have done that for someone you don't like, would you? You wouldn't have done that for me. Then she really was crying and Sasuke really panicked, but he didn't know what to do. I'm sorry for crying, I've liked you for so long, I didn't know you like boys, so I'm upset right now. Suddenly all the puzzle pieces came together in Sasuke's head. Sakura, listen to me, he started slowly. I don't like Naruto. She shook her head. You don't have to lie to me. I know there are people who think boys who like boys are weird, but I won't think of you any less. No, Sakura, listen. I really don't like Naruto the way you like me, he said. Sakura's crying subsided into a whimper, but she still wasn't looking at him. I want to revive my clan, so I can't like boys, can I? She looked at him with her red-rimmed eyes like she was finally comprehending what he just said. So you're not, like, going out with Naruto? She asked. No, Sakura blinked. But you two were holding hands. I was looking at his hands. I can't move my head much right now, so I needed to bring his hand to my face, he said. He wasn't used to justifying his action to anybody for a long time, long since his family died. Sakura looked confused. But why do you want to look at his hand? That was a longer story which he wasn't sure he wanted to divulge yet, but again, Kakashi never said he had to do this mission alone. When Naruto and I were trapped in the ice prison, he was attacked just as much as I was. Given that the scratches on my arms haven't healed, his shouldn't either. But he was barely injured, Sakura muttered. He could see gears moving in her head, before her eyes snapped to meet his. The mist was so thick I couldn't see what was going on, but there was one point where there was a surge of really sinister chakra. Sinister? She nodded. I take it that you already are passed out at that point, she said. I'm not good at sensing chakra, but this one I swear was so overwhelming that even Tazuna-san could feel it. Then after a while it was gone. I thought it was Zabuza's, but when you mentioned that, you think it might have been Naruto's? It sounded very unlikely. It might have been Zabuza's or Haku's. The mist was so thick that it was impossible for other people aside from Naruto and Haku to know. Since Haku was dead and Naruto wouldn't give a straight answer, They were pretty much in the dark, unless, of course, Kakashi knew something about it. The worst part about having Kakashi as your source was that he was just about as willing as Naruto when it came to answering questions. You think I want you to find out Naruto's secret? Kakashi seemed surprised by this. Sasuke, however, wasn't going to be deterred. Why else would you assign me to Naruto? He's clearly hiding something. Even Sakura notices, he replied. Kakashi looked at him, blinked a few times, and said, well, I guess I shouldn't be surprised that you think that, but that isn't it. Sasuke was at a loss. However, you're right. Naruto has his secret. What is it then? Sasuke asked. He was getting more impatient by the minute. At this, Kakashi chuckled. I'm sorry, Sasuke. Naruto's secret is only his to tell. If you can complete my mission, he might be willing to tell you, but that is up to him. As it stands now, you're not making progress at all, are you? Sasuke scoffed. He didn't want to admit it, but after his failure on their second day in training, Sasuke had resigned to just observing Naruto. It was partly because he needed to focus on the training, but part of it, if Sasuke was to be honest, was because he didn't know what to do without getting Naruto suspicious. I think I can read him better now, Sasuke said, trying desperately to defend himself. Kakashi just shook his head. In an infiltration mission, a week you waste is another week you can get killed. Not just you but also your team. True that we are allowed to wait, but there are always reasons why that risk must be taken. It is rarely because we don't know what to do. Sasuke could feel the blood rushing to his face. He looked away, trying to use his conveniently positioned bangs to hide from Kakashi. It was then that Kakashi motioned him to follow. They went to another waterfront further away from the house so that other people couldn't listen in. Kakashi sat down. Sasuke just stood beside him. This time, though, Kakashi looked at him and told him to sit. After a moment of hesitation, he obeyed. I'll teach you a technique that you might find useful, Kakashi said. Sasuke perked up at the word teaching and technique before Kakashi even finished his sentence. This technique is potentially dangerous to shinobi, but it is a fairly simple one. Danger never deterred Sasuke. He was an Uchiha. An Uchiha was not afraid of anything. What is it? He asked, already impatient to learn. Kakashi just kept his eyes on the horizon and said, it's called empathy. For a moment, Sasuke's head just went blank. Empathy? That was not a jutsu. Part of Sasuke wanted to call Kakashi's bluff and just get away to vent his frustration. The other part was intrigued. I can see you think this is a waste of time already, but hear me out. Empathy is a natural although limited ability in humans. It's there so we can relate to each other and cooperate with one another. It is also an ability that children and teenagers usually struggle with, partly because they have too few experiences in life to understand what is in front of them. Empathy allows us to understand our target's thinking and motivation, and so make it easier to predict how they would react in certain situations. The longer Kakashi was talking, the more intrigued Sasuke became. Understanding the targets and predicting their movements were crucial. And if everyone else in his peer group struggled with it, Sasuke wanted to do it. The reason I told you to talk to Naruto is because, as you are now aware, you two share similar experiences, Kakashi said. Sasuke's anger flared up as he heard the murder of his loved ones trivialized to just an experience, but he stomped it down. I'm afraid I can't tell you much aside from confirming what you already know or infer. Naruto was the prime witness to Iruka's death. Actually, he was the target. Iruka tried to save him and in the process sacrificed himself for Naruto. That was in fact a new piece of information for Sasuke. He didn't think the dope could be the one in danger. He was, after all, an orphan boy with no clan affiliation. It made no difference if he was dead or alive. But this made it worse, because this would mean Naruto was the cause of Iruka's death. Iruka-sensei, who was willing to risk his life for a boy who hadn't been anything. Iruka, who was willing to sacrifice himself for Naruto for the simple fact that he was Naruto. Now I want you to imagine yourself in Naruto's place, said Kakashi. Imagine what it would be like to live day in, day out with the people of Konoha hating you for your bloodline but never saying it to your face. You have only one person to turn to when the world seems to assault you from all sides. Sasuke couldn't help but remember his mother and her warmth. His mother who would sit by his bed when he was sick and could barely move. His mother who would gently brush the bangs away from his face and tell him how proud she was when his father wouldn't. Sasuke used to adore Itachi to bits, but he was nothing like his mother. Her arms were his sanctuary from the world up to the day he was too grown to hide from it any longer. Now imagine losing that person, losing the only good thing you have ever had, and being left utterly alone among the hatred and snarls. Sasuke didn't need to imagine it. He had been there. He had lost everyone who he'd loved and had ever loved him, including the older brother he once knew. It wasn't hatred that waited for Sasuke in the world, but coldness. No one was there anymore who understood and could console him. Kakashi went on, in a way, you are lucky, Sasuke. You have always been one of the top students. You're popular. Everyone showers you with respect and love. You have skills to be proud of. Naruto has none of this. He wouldn't have stayed in the academy if it wasn't for Iruka. His dream of becoming Hokage was in part induced by Iruka. With that person gone, Naruto isn't only hurting, he is completely lost and alone. You're wrong, was the only thing Sasuke could say at the end of Kakashi's long exposition. His voice was shaking. You don't know me. Kakashi was silent for a while before he said, No, I don't. That's the downside to this practice. I can only presume. The only way to confirm the truth is to interact with the person. I can see now that it is beginning to work for you. Sasuke looked at him, but his vision was blurry. He blinked and felt wet trails forming on his cheeks. He tried to wipe them away because an Uchiha didn't cry. It's okay, Sasuke, Kakashi said. Tears of self-pity are for the weak, but the tears for the tragedies of others only the strong knows how to shed them. And so, Sasuke let his tears fall. His genin were definitely full of surprises. Not only were they able to complete their first technically B-rank mission safely, skipping C ranks entirely, but they managed to come out stronger as a team. Sakura showed a lot of potential in chakra control and genjutsu. He hadn't intended to introduce the subject to them just yet, but he and Sakura got into a conversation about genjutsu once during the training week because Sakura wanted to discuss the concept of subterfuge with Inari. She asked Kakashi about what he used on her during the genin test, and one thing led to another. Kakashi ended up explaining the basics of genjutsu to her, and she devoured his words like they were the finest meal. He agreed to give the team a brief lesson during the week they were recovering from the fight. Sakura was able to break the genjutsu first, followed very closely by Sasuke. Naruto, as predicted, was the dead last of the team, and typical of Naruto, he was frustrated, and decided to train harder on genjutsu. Again, Sakura exhibited qualities of a good teacher. She patiently explained to him the basics, which Naruto gave his own interpretation to since he couldn't quite grasp it, and she was there to tell him what he was doing wrong. Sasuke surprised them by offering to train with Naruto. He didn't have to since he was already quite good at it, but Sasuke didn't seem to mind. So he and Sakura took turns trying genjutsu on Naruto while Naruto tried to break from it. In effect, they improved together. It was not like everything was good and dandy, of course. Sasuke and Naruto still competed a lot. One time it happened on a simple mission that got so out of hand that Sakura lost her temper and screamed a loud, powerful scream at them. Both Sasuke and Naruto were in a slight state of shock for the rest of the day. Another surprise was that Sasuke, instead of going off on his own after missions, started to train with Naruto and Sakura at least twice a week. Kakashi was pretty sure this had something to do with the mission he had given Sasuke. Sasuke didn't report back on his status after their little chat at the waterfront. Kakashi didn't ask him, because he could see for himself that Sasuke was improving. Sure enough, Sasuke was still aloof and viewed Naruto and Sakura as inferior to himself, but he started to take care of them and watch over them during missions. That, however, did not sit well with Naruto. Naruto's desire to be strong seemed to outdo every possible logic in his head. The more time Sasuke saved him during missions, the more agitated Naruto became. Kakashi was notified more than once that his student was found on the training grounds in the dead of the night past the normal time that genin should be up running about by themselves. They talked about it, or more like Kakashi talked and Naruto just watched the ground around Kakashi's feet with his lips pressed together. Naruto offered no excuse and listened to no advice. With the risk of sounding like Nara Shikaku, this was getting really troublesome. Kakashi had thought that, given their similar experience in lost and loneliness, Sasuke and Naruto could balance each other out with Sakura as their barometer for normalcy. That was why he tried to encourage Sasuke to connect with Naruto. Who would have thought that Naruto, desperate for friends and attention as he was, would resist? Their teamwork fell apart a bit when Sakura and Sasuke had a little row during training when she thought he went too far, and he thought she wasn't taking the training seriously enough. Mean things were said and Sakura was upset. Those mean things also led to Naruto jumping into Sakura's defense, and ended in him and Sasuke brawling on the ground, pulling hair and exchanging punches, which also led to another scream from Sakura. They all went home angry and miserable that day while Kakashi watched them in secret. They didn't try to patch things up afterward, although everything seemed somewhat normal the next day. Then the Chunin exam happened. Kakashi nominated his team because he thought they were ready. At least their combined skills should be enough to get them through the second round all right. They also needed a change of pace to get their dynamic back together. Nothing was better than a shared near-death experience. But then Orochimaru happened. Scouting for potential candidates to the Hidden Sound was something he liked doing personally. It was a great thrill to watch so many potential talents rising only to be squashed into nothingness a moment later. When the level of talent he was talking about were entry-level genin, it wasn't much of a surprise. The tricky ones to assess were the prodigies. It was always a bit of a gamble with them. Child prodigies didn't always turn out to be geniuses. They banked too much on their innate ability that when the well dried up they became lost. Hard workers were good, but there were always limits to them when it came to techniques. That was why he was always after the second child prodigy in the family. These people were talented in their own rights but also spent their lives working to exceed their older siblings. He had his mind on Uchiha Sasuke when he came in. The boy was, after all, the second child prodigy and the heir of the Sharingan, but after watching the team get ambushed by a team from the Hidden Rain, he couldn't help but notice another member of the group, the boy with spiky blonde hair. Frankly, the boy was not to his taste, But it was not the look, or even the skill that made him notice. It was his killing intent. The blonde boy was the first to get ambushed when he was forced away from his teammates to take a leak. It was a mistake of the pink-haired girl since she couldn't see the danger of doing so right away. Leaf children. They were so naive. The second the blonde finished his business, a rain ninja jumped him with ropes with clear intention of capturing him. However, the first moment the rope came down around him, he turned and kicked. The attack he used looked almost random, but then he noticed the stone around the blonde boy's feet. One of them was picked up by the chakra on the sole of his shoes and was kicked right to the attacker's groin, sending him reeling. 2 other rain genin quickly came down from the trees to aid their teammate, but the ruckus also called in the leaf team. Sasuke, as he would have anticipated, went directly for one of the rain ninja while the blonde boy ran to his first attacker, gave him a hard kick in the face that was sure to send him into dreamland before grabbing his enemy's kunai and jumping to another rain ninja retreating up the trees. The rain nin hit him down hard. The fight would have ended there if he didn't suddenly create 2 clones, shadow clones no less, that threw him from midair right into his bewildered enemy. He heard a sick crack of ribs. The rain ninja flew back into a tree. 2 kunai lodged just underneath his ribcage. He couldn't help but smile. That position was very strategic. An injury like that would prevent the lung from inflating fully, making it hard to breathe and to recover. The rain ninja just slid down the tree like a broken rag doll, conscious but unable to move. Sakura-chan, let's look for the scroll, the blonde boy called out. He went to the genin he just fought with and searched him. Sasuke and the pink-hair girl did the same with 2 other rain ninjas. Sasuke found the scroll soon enough, but the girl's scream caught their attention first. The ninja that was out cold during most of the fight had regained consciousness, and quickly captured the girl to use for bargaining. Hand us the scrolls, losers, the rain genin barked, his shuriken awkwardly positioned at the girl's throat. Both boys froze. Sasuke sent a look the blonde's way, but he just shouted at the rain ninja, "Let her go, you bastard. Don't come any closer or I'll kill her," said the rain ninja. "Put both scrolls on the ground and back off. Once I reach the scrolls, I'll let your teammate go." Sasuke was doing just that. He pulled out his team's scroll and was about to place both scrolls on the ground when the blonde turned to him and shouted, "Don't you dare do that, bastard. What am I supposed to do?" "If anything happens to Sakura, we're done for anyway," Sasuke yelled right back. As if that sick fucker was going to keep his goddamn word. The blonde shouted again. He was right, but quite frankly the noise was getting a little grating. The rain ninja watched their exchange for a while until he deemed enough time had passed. "Enough, you two. Hand me the scrolls or your friend dies," he shouted. Without warning, a hand came up to grab the hand that was holding the shuriken and bent it up, causing it come right at the rain ninja's ear instead. Another set of hands pulled away the one around the pink-haired girl, allowing her to crouch down and escape. That was when the blonde turned to the rain ninja with a smirk on his face. "You forgot my shadow clones, buddy," he said as he walked towards the captured shinobi. When he was within an arm's length, he punched the guy in the stomach hard enough to make him bend over and puke his guts out. "That's for hurting Sakura-chan." Then he gave the rain ninja another hard kick in the head. "That's for your team attacking mine." But at that point, the rain ninja was already knocked out, probably for hours this time. "Right, let's go then," said Sasuke, packing away the scrolls. The blonde stopped them and talked them into stealing their enemies' weapons. His teammates reluctantly agreed. They made a quick search on their enemies' bodies before taking off again into the forest. He had to say he was impressed. He rarely saw a boy with that kind of decisiveness at this tender age, let alone someone with such ferocity and darkness. He might have just found someone more interesting than even the second child prodigy Uchiha Sasuke. He asked his companion who the boy was. The man pulled out a card and read, "Uzumaki Naruto. He's a genin under Hatake Kakashi. Completed various D-rank mission, 1 C-rank, and managed to score 1 B-rank in Wave Country against Zabuza Momochi." Then his companion put the card away. "He's an orphan, notorious in Konoha for being a problem child causing ruckus in the village." "Is that so?" he said. So that was the rumored nine-tailed child, the vessel to an unprecedented power. This was getting really difficult for him to decide. "Frankly, I don't think he is a good candidate," said the man. "Naruto ranked last in the academy." "Ah, but you know very well that being book-smart is not everything in a ninja." "I tend to think that it is part of being a good ninja," the man replied. "True," he muttered. "Honestly, if I could have both of them, I would take both. Taking 2 candidates from the same team is too risky. It would be harder to assimilate them into sound completely." He knew this to be true, of course, but a man could dream, couldn't he? "I'll test them both," he said to his companion, "and I'll decide later. In the meantime, let's keep an eye on their team." His companion respectfully inclined his head as he said, "Very well then, Orochimaru-sama." Sakura really didn't know what to feel. Things happened too fast for her to process. At first, it seemed like they were having a slow start. There was no other team in sight and no sure way to find them. They just decided to get to the tower as fast as they could. None of them expected to be ambushed so quickly or to obtain the scrolls so fast. She also almost got killed only mere hours into the test, but what rattled her the most was Naruto. He didn't flinch when he knifed the rain ninja midair, nor did he hold back when he hit the one that captured her. She could tell that he was angry, but he was just so cold. They didn't talk much from that point on. With both scrolls in their hands, all they needed to do was get to the tower, but their stamina wasn't enough to do it in one go. Naruto probably could. Sasuke-kun, too. But she was beginning to fall behind, and the traps and animals in the forest were too dangerous for her to barge through with dwindling concentration. They decided to rest. Sakura made a mental note to run more often. Sasuke found them a tree with a large root system for protection in the night to come. They set up traps and ate a meal of rations they had thought of bringing with them. Tomorrow they would need to hunt, another task that would slow them down. As they were about to settle down for the night, drained from the run, it all happened again. They registered the bomb and took cover quickly but separately. It was a bad move given how easily the other team could take each of them down. The smoke was everywhere, so she decided to remain in hiding, at least until everything settled down. Her hand went to the pouch containing one of their scrolls and held it tightly. After a brief breathing exercise, she began to calm down. She couldn't panic now. She had a mission to complete and teammates to find. After a moment of silence, Sakura began moving. She knew they couldn't be far, so she crawled from one bush to the next, trying to avoid being seen by the enemies. It was hard to guess what they were trying to do. Stealth and information were key in this case. She bumped into Sasuke-kun first. He demanded to hear the pass code before she got any closer than 2 arms length. Fortunately, her memory was good enough for a pass code as long as Sasuke had demanded. Good, he replied as she crawled in beside him. Scroll? She nodded. Yours? He nodded. She breathed easier knowing that they still had both of them. They just needed to get Naruto and sneaked out of this trap quickly. I think he got blown away somewhere in that direction, Sasuke motioned. He was too slow to dodge. Would not be the first time, honestly. Let's go, then, she said. He began to get up, but she pulled him down. No, Sasuke-kun. Let's just crawl there. We don't know where our enemies are. He looked at her, then to the ground like he was mulling over something. Sakura briefly panicked that she might have crossed the line with him somewhere. Okay, he said finally, let's. That was all he managed to say before another bomb went off. It was too close to the bush they were hiding that they had no other option but to come out into the open. Sakura quickly grabbed her kunai, ready for an attack, but the only person she saw was Naruto. What was that? The loudmouthed blonde yelled. Sakura couldn't be more relieved, but she was not going to let her guard down just yet. Naruto, over here, she shouted only moments before Sasuke-kun stepped between her and Naruto. Pass code, he demanded. Naruto sighed and said the code, the entirety of it. On hindsight, she should have known that something was off. Sasuke, genius that he was, attacked the fake Naruto right away. The man who replaced Naruto was frightening enough that his mere presence made Sakura scream. This was bad. This was really, really bad. That was all there was in Sasuke's head when they successfully got away from their enemy. There was just one of them, but that one was bad enough to make him want to puke. He was still around. Sasuke could feel him. The air in the forest seemed even thicker than it already was with that presence. His body threatened to shake under the pressure, but he didn't let it. He had Sakura to take care of, and he didn't want to die. He was sure if they got caught again they would certainly die. The next thought that came to him was to go get Naruto and get out of this place. At least with 3 of them, they might be able to hold back their enemy if only for long enough to reach the tower, or they could offer the scroll their enemy wanted. After all, they already had 2 and this was just the first day. They could try to find another team to beat afterward. But their enemy wasn't all about getting the scroll, was he? Someone of that skill could just kill them and take the scrolls if he wanted. He was playing with them like a cat playing with trapped mice. He hated this. He hated this. He hated this. Sasuke-kun, snake, Sakura's voice made him jump. A giant snake just dropped right in front of them and started coming after him with a vengeance. Fuck it. They couldn't run, not with these kinds of creatures around. But what were they going to do? There was no way they could kill the man. They were just genin. Foolish little brother, came the voice inside his head, deep and rumbling and filled with disdain. You're too weak. His eyes went to Sakura. She tried to attack the snake to get it away from him. Finally it was annoyed enough to go after her. She was dodging it very well, until she lost her footing on a branch and slipped. He called after Sakura as he ran as fast as he could towards her. The snake was right there, ready to attack either of them. He couldn't bring himself to care, because he would not see it happen again. Not again. Suddenly, a blur of white and orange came down from the branches above them and hit the snake right on the nose. Unsure of what it might be, Sasuke grabbed Sakura and landed as far away as he could manage before he looked back. It was Naruto. The snake rebounded quickly. It went right after the blonde boy with a speed that he knew Naruto couldn't keep up with. Naruto basically rained shuriken on the creature until blood was raining down with them. As soon as the creature fell, a figure rose from its body, and there stood the man once again. Sasuke could feel himself tremble. He couldn't stop it this time. So, you managed to defeat the giant snake, Naruto-kun, he said. Naruto's eyes narrowed at him. So it was you, asshole, Naruto said. Sasuke could hear his anger dripping with each syllable. Let me get back to you on that, stupid. 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 Naruto, get out of there! He shouted. We can't fight him. Let it go. Naruto didn't take his eyes off the enemy as he said, Do you seriously think he's going to let us go, moron? Did you get so scared your crap went to your brain or something? Sasuke's hand clenched into a fist. Of course he knew that, but what were their options anyway? He's in another league, idiot. He'll kill us anyway, Naruto replied. He took an attacking stance as the man chuckled. You are correct, Naruto-kun, he said. That disgusting tongue wetted his lips. You are actually smarter than you look. Flattery won't get you anywhere, asshole. Naruto shouted as he charged full force at his enemy. The thunderous cracks and rumbles filled the forest as a massive creature suddenly appeared underneath their enemy, a gargantuan snake with its jaw wide open and fangs dripping venom. Sasuke almost lost his footing as he pulled Sakura into cover. They watched in horror as Naruto desperately fended off the snake, but just a whip of its tail and a tilt of its head sent the boy's small form right into a tree. Sasuke could hear a cracking sound coming from where his teammate hit. He wished that it was just the sound of the tree bark breaking, but he knew it was not. Sasuke could almost feel the pain in his own body. He felt small. He felt hopeless. He felt like it was that night when he ran home only to find a whole district full of corpses. There was nothing he could do then. There was nothing he could do now. Please stop this. I beg you. Make this nightmare stop. I can't take it anymore. Stop. 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 Eat shit. With Naruto's scream came a surge of chakra that was enough to snap Sasuke out of his own head. The snake took a hit powerful enough to shut its large mouth with a sick sound of bones hitting bones. That's it, muttered Sakura. Her voice was shaking. That's the chakra. They watched as Naruto was hit, his body flying towards a tree, only to jump right back into the fight at a speed Sasuke had never seen him achieve before. There wasn't an opening in the warring between Naruto and the snake. It was like a battle between two monsters. Another side hit from the tail sent Naruto flying before the snake began moving its gargantuan body. It was Sakura who dragged him back before he could register that the snake was coming for them. Sasuke heard the voice before he actually saw what happened. Get away from them, you sick jerk! Naruto shouted as he slammed right into the snake's head, causing it to stop in its track on a tree branch. A moment passed where nobody moved. Sasuke was too shocked to even move his eyes from Naruto's back. Since when had he been staring at Naruto's back? Suddenly, Naruto was lifted by the snake's tongue up to the man on top of its head. Naruto was struggling trying to get away, but not before the man performed a seal, zipped open Naruto's jacket, and hit him right in the stomach. Naruto's body went rigid. That was when the man opened his mouth and bit hard between the boy's neck and shoulder. Kaya-aawia! Naruto's scream cut right through all the fears and nightmares that lurked inside Sasuke like a razor. Suddenly, there was nothing else that mattered, not his fear, not that they were going to die, not his vengeance. It was like on the bridge of Wave Country all over again, except this time Sasuke knew that he was too late, too small, too powerless. But it didn't matter. He charged forward, feeling the chakra welling in his eyes, weapons in his hands, and the fire pumping in his veins like mad. He attacked, causing the man to drop Naruto gracelessly and letting his body slide down to the forest floor. He could hear Sakura confirming that she got him from somewhere below. Sasuke went for the kill. Another inhuman scream left Naruto's mouth, rattling the entire forest. The bastard just smirked from the top of his snake. Sasuke felt his boiling blood freeze. The Uchiha threw his windmill shuriken in response. His enemy dodged effortlessly, but he couldn't dodge the dragon fire Sasuke sent his way. He didn't stop there. As if a little fire jutsu would do anything to a man like that. While the man was possibly blinded from the fire, Sasuke lit up the trees in the entire area, before making a retreat. Sasuke-kun, Sakura called him from the ground beside Naruto's wretched form. They picked him up and quickly escaped the area before the fire went out. It was close to dawn when they finally stopped, legs shaking and arms trembling. Sasuke felt like he could fall over at any moment. He had exhausted his chakra reserves. His body was also close to its limit. Sakura wasn't that much better off. They found another shelter under a large tree and dragged Naruto's limp body inside. The first half hour they had to carry him was painful. Naruto would scream and vomit, and sometimes scratch them. There was no recognition in his eyes, just agony. That was why Sasuke decided to knock him out. The journey afterward was easier, but only marginally so. Being unconscious didn't mean Naruto didn't make noises. He whimpered and moaned from time to time. He also developed a fever high enough for them to be worried. After setting up the traps, Sakura started to strip the blonde so she could wipe him down with a wet towel and see to his injuries. That was when they saw that there weren't any major ones, not even a bruise in fact, like he hadn't been hit around by a giant snake for a good 10 minutes. This can't be, she muttered and put the clothes back on the blonde. Sasuke just sat there and watched. It explained a lot of things. Whatever the source of that abnormal chakra, It also healed Naruto's injuries, so the blonde was in no immediate danger. What they had to worry about was the fever and that seal on Naruto's neck. It was more pressing than ever for them to get to the tower quickly so Naruto could get help. Sakura's voice called him out of his own head. She wanted to see to his injury, so he let her. He asked after hers, but she just shook her head. "I'm fine thanks to you and Naruto," she said with a smile that looked somewhat sad. "I'll go get some water at the stream we just passed by. I won't be long, be careful," was all he could say. She smiled and disappeared from his line of sight. As soon as he thought she was out of earshot, Sasuke cursed quietly to himself. He was so useless. He couldn't fight off that weird grass ninja before he got to Naruto. When he finally did, he ended up so exhausted that he could barely stand, let alone move. He couldn't take care of Sakura and Naruto like this. He wished he was stronger. How was he going to achieve his goal if he couldn't even save the people around him? He was so pathetic. A whimper from Naruto took him out of his own thoughts. Naruto shook his head slowly from one side to the other and scowled. Sasuke wet the towel with more water and dabbed it on his forehead in hope that the cool water would help. The fever wasn't coming down, and it was clear that Naruto was in a lot of pain. Sasuke remembered a time when he caught a nasty flu as a small child and had to spend days in agony in his bed. His body ached. The world lost its balance, and he could barely breathe. His mother was by his bedside almost all the time. Her elegant fingers combed through his hair as she told him that he would be all right. Sasuke since knew that there was no point for such action aside from the comfort of the touch. The pain wasn't alleviated that way, no matter what his younger self thought. Despite that, he ran his fingers through Naruto's hair, muttering nonsense under his breath that his mother used to tell him on occasions like this. He didn't know why he was doing this aside from the fact that it was comforting for him. It was better than sitting still and feeling helpless, although he knew none of what he was doing actually made any difference. When Sakura came back, Sasuke-kun was already asleep propped against one of the roots. His hand was in Naruto's hair like he was about to comb the unruly strands back. She knew he didn't mean to fall asleep like that. Sasuke probably wanted to keep watch even in his exhausted state. In a way, it was better that he passed out so Sakura didn't have to argue with him. Another part of her was struck with how tender the scene looked. It reminded her somewhat of the time she found Sasuke holding Naruto's hand in the hospital in Wave Country. He denied any feeling towards Naruto, and she believed him, but Sakura had always felt that he favored Naruto over her. She couldn't help but think that it was because Naruto was stronger than her and more hardworking than her. She had tried to catch up but couldn't quite get there, not yet anyway. Looking at them like this, she wondered if Sasuke favoring Naruto really had anything to do with the fact that Naruto was the stronger one. She took a place close to the entrance, pulled her knees to her chin, and kept watch. Naruto moved from time to time, whimpering and sometimes tossing about. She was glad that Sasuke-kun slept like the dead. He didn't stir once during all those episodes. She tended to Naruto and went back to keeping watch, fending off all wildlife in the vicinity. She didn't trust any of them and there were too many traps around anyway. By about 9 in the morning, she was exhausted. Luckily she was too wired up to really feel it, because it was then that another team decided to show up at their doorstep. Sound Ninja, her tired mind supplied. One of them had long spiky hair pointing backward like a hedgehog. The other had short hair pointing upwards like a chicken head. The third member was a girl with long flowing hair, too long to be practical. Adrenaline was pumping into her bloodstream as Sakura reached for her kunai. "You're not very good, are you?" The hedgehog guy moved closer to her and knelt to the ground. "A booby trap is pointless unless it goes unnoticed, you know? Pathetic, that's what it is," the chicken head added from behind. "Let's kill her and kill this Sasuke guy." They charged, but not before Sakura managed to cut the rope at her side. The thing about booby traps, Sakura learned from her discussion with Kakashi-sensei and Inari, was that it could serve a lot of purposes: trapping the enemy, delaying them, or even diverting their attacks. Her trap went off right above their head and the Sound Ninja had to fall back. The noise also woke Sasuke up, although it was clear that he was still too exhausted to fight yet. "Sounds. They're coming after you," she told him as she tossed the scroll towards him. "Grab Naruto and get moving," Sakura Sasuke said, but the sound of another trap going off stopped him. "I'll hold them back. Please go now." "We'll meet at the tower," she told him before moving to the opening just in time to see the large log she used for one of the traps being split to pieces right in front of her. The hedgehog was coming down at her full speed. Before she could react, there was a whirlwind of green. The Sound Ninja were pushed back and before her was Konoha's very own green beast, who seemingly appeared out of nowhere. "Lee-san, why are you here?" she asked in surprise. His eyes were on the enemies as he said, "I will always appear when you are in trouble. I've told you, haven't I, that I will protect you until I die." That was rather touching. She thanked him and stole a quick glance over her shoulder. Sasuke-kun was still inside their hiding place. She tried to urge him to get moving, but he just looked at her with that stubborn look on his face and his mouth shut tight. His eyes went to Lee, clearly reliving their disastrous match where he was the one beaten up. "Gods, men! This was not the time, seriously." She turned to face the front. This was not the time for her to get irritated either. She had to be worried about beating the enemies before they got to Sasuke, no matter where he ended up. Oh well, Zaku, you take care of Sasuke-kun. I'll take down this guy, said the hedgehog as he moved into position. Sakura's eyes went to the two other members of the team then, and back to him. She wasn't sure if he was bluffing, but she was confident in Lee's ability. She would keep her eyes on the other two. Lee was strong, so strong in fact that Sakura thought for a moment that he was going to win. He just had to. But Lee was a taijutsu genius. He was unable to do anything else. The techniques the sound ninja used were just not something taijutsu could counter. When the chicken head joined in, Sakura knew almost immediately that Lee wasn't going to win. She had to do something, and fast. She decided to attack, charging to the chicken head as he was about to give Lee another blow. He reflected her kunai as expected, but she quickly substituted herself with a log and attacked him from above. He reflected again. She used substitution again before landing behind him and kicking him hard in the back. She felt something in her feet snap with that kick. Her muscles were too tired out to take the force anymore, but she didn't stop. She jumped right at him, pushing him to the ground as she fought literally with her teeth and nails like she had seen Naruto and Sasuke do so many times. Pain shot from her scalp down to her neck as her hair was pulled back by the long-haired kunoichi. Sakura tried to reach back for her hand, but couldn't get to it. She was dragged by the hair off the chicken head. Can't even fight like a ninja. What a disaster, the girl said with a rough tug on Sakura's hair. What's this? How much treatment did you put into this thing? Trying to be sexy or something? No wonder you're so pathetic as a kunoichi, you female swine. That was about as much as Sakura allowed the girl to say. She pulled out a kunai and cut her hair, freeing herself from the grip before twisting back and using the confusion to stab the girl in the leg. Keeping hair that long, wagging your tail much, you female canine? Sakura gloated as she stepped back. It only took a second for the girl to charge at her. They were struggling together on the ground. She swung her arm to the girl's face, trying to knock her off, but was bitten hard enough to draw blood. The momentum was enough to roll them over so that Sakura was on top and pounding the girl's stomach as she kept on biting. She wasn't satisfied yet when a hand grabbed her on the back of her neck, pulled her off, and slammed her to the ground. Geez, women and their hair, the chicken head said from on top of her. He was basically sitting on her with his full weight, pinning her down. Now Uchiha Sasuke, how long are you going to hide behind your little whore? As she feared, Sasuke was already standing in the clearing. She could see the strain on his body. He couldn't fight like this, so she did the only thing she could think of. Run, Sasuke-kun! She shouted. He didn't. You want to fight me, don't you? He said to the chicken head. Let her go. Well, no, the chicken head said as he stood up, one foot still pressed on her back as he taunted Sasuke-kun. Come get your woman yourself, Uchiha. She heard a tch and saw him charging in. Sakura closed her eyes and prepared for the worst. What she didn't foresee was the sound of 3 synchronous hits. The chicken head was thrown off her, landing somewhere behind her with a loud thud. For the record, came the booming voice of Yamanaka Ino. This forehead girl is not Sasuke-kun's woman. He was alone in the pitch-black darkness. Unlike the closet his second foster family liked to throw him in, this place was damp. His feet were dragging in murky water. It was warm and slightly unpleasant. He heard voices from far away, sometimes a shout. He couldn't quite make out what they said. Some of them sounded like names, like Sakura and Sasuke. He tried to call back but no one replied. No one called for him. That's because they have left you behind, came a voice from below. He looked down and there was his reflection, only it didn't look quite like his reflection. The eyes were red instead of blue and the smirk on its face looked unfamiliar. You're no good to anybody. He felt his jaw shaking. Liar. They need me. Sasuke couldn't get a better sparring partner than me. And who's going to take care of Sakura-chan? He replied with all the gusto he got. The reflection just smirked. Not if they are dead, it said. He looked up from the murky water like it had just hit him. No, they couldn't be dead. Sasuke might be a jerk, but he wouldn't let Sakura get hurt. And he was good. He turned around and there right behind him, leaking out the dark water at his feet, was the almost unrecognizable body of Yamano Irika. The surge of chakra stopped everybody's movement. It stopped the battle between the Sound Ninja and Team Asuma right in its tracks. Sasuke's heart dropped to his stomach as he felt the sense of imminent doom. It didn't feel like the last time, wasn't the same chakra. This one felt dirty, like something rotten and contaminated. He turned, as all of them turned, to the source of the chakra. There in front of the entrance stood Naruto. Half his body was littered with hideous black marks. It went down his left arm and up to one side of his face. His eyes were red instead of blue and stared at them like he could see right through them. Then he turned to Sakura, observing her from where he stood before turning back to them. Which one of you hurt Sakura-chan? He growled. They couldn't reply. It seemed like none of them knew how to move. Then suddenly Naruto disappeared. An instant later he was in front of the Sound Nin girl. His face just a few inches from hers. You smell like her blood, he told her quietly before grabbing the back of her head and slamming her face first into a tree. Sasuke heard Ino gasp loudly behind him. That'll teach you not to bite on something you shouldn't, bitch. Sokka went at him right after that, his sound jutsu in full blast. Sasuke and the rest had to get away before they got their eardrums burst. He looked for Sakura and saw Lee holding her like a bride. Her eyes fixed on Naruto, wide and terrified. He turned back to observe the fight, but the air blast had stirred up so much dirt and leaves that he couldn't see clearly. That Sakugai went overboard with his technique and he completely lost track of Naruto. Above you! Came a shout from Dosu. Zaku aimed and blasted more air only for Naruto to disappear into a cloud of smoke before he hit him. What was the only thing Zaku could say before Dosu flew into him. He fell under the weight of his teammate. He quickly pushed Dosu off but didn't get a chance to get up when Naruto swooped in and slammed one of Zaku's arms to the ground with his foot. Sasuke could hear a loud crack of bone breaking under the force, followed by a scream. Please stop, Dosu said. His attitude changed from cocky to compliant almost immediately. We know now that you are strong. We admit defeat this time. That attitude seemed to piss Naruto off. He let go of Zaku and grabbed Dosu by the neck instead. So you're the type to target the weak, huh? He said. No, our target was Sasuke-kun. We didn't intend to attack the girl. Like I'd believe you, moron. Naruto yelled as he threw Dosu to the ground. His feet pinned the guy by the chest. I was going to let you off easy because you don't smell of her. How about I break a couple of ribs to give you a lesson? Sasuke could hear something cracking under the pressure. That was when he broke away from the group, ran straight to Naruto, and grabbed him by the arm. Naruto, stop it! He hissed. They admit defeat and you beat 2 of them already. Let them go. Naruto turned to him and hissed back. Cracked ribs is a mild lesson for bullies like these guys. Bullies. That was why he was suddenly so pissed off. Naruto, you've done enough. Any more than this and you'll give Sakura nightmares. That was when Naruto's eyes snapped to Sakura as if her position had been in his peripheral vision all along. Sasuke's eyes followed him. She stood by Lee. Her face was as white as a sheet, like she was about to faint. She was shocked by what she saw, by what Naruto was capable of. He knew that Naruto could tell, too. The marks began to retreat, and Naruto's eyes slowly turned blue again, but there wasn't liveliness there. Naruto looked defeated. Just go, Naruto told the sound ninja. His voice sounded tired. And don't let me see your faces again. Dosu nodded. He quickly got up and, before moving to getting his teammates, put down his scroll. You defeated us fair and square, so here is the prize according to the rule, he said. Naruto just huffed and said, like I need anything from the likes of you. He didn't spare them another glance as he walked towards Sakura. Everybody's eyes were on him like they were trying to dissect him. Naruto didn't seem to care. He stopped 2 meters away from where Sakura stood and asked, Are you alright, Sakura-chan? Are you badly hurt? She looked frightened, but she collected herself and smiled. I got a sprained ankle and some bruises but nothing too serious. It'll be gone in a couple of days. Ah, I see, Naruto replied with a small smile on his face. That's good then. I guess Lee-san can help you for a bit, right? Lee was surprised by this, but he nodded firmly. Naruto nodded back. I need to go wash up a bit. I'll be back soon. Don't worry about me, okay? Sakura looked like she was about to say something when Naruto took off. He met nobody's eyes as he crossed the clearing and into the woods. Sasuke turned to Sakura and said, I'll follow him, before going after the blonde boy. Naruto seemed to have great speed when he decided to run away. It took Sasuke a good 15 minutes to find him in the thickets. He dropped down behind the tree trunk and was about to confront Naruto when the sound of muffled sobs stopped him. He could hear the hiccups, the short intakes of breath, and the sound like sobs half swallowed into the throat coming from where Naruto hid. Sasuke had never heard Naruto cry. He never thought he would. When he did, he couldn't move. He was torn between going to the blonde boy to console him, knowing he would be intruding on a very private and vulnerable moment, and simply giving him some space. He knew Naruto wouldn't appreciate the former, Sasuke being his rival and all, but Sasuke couldn't turn back and walk away. His legs suddenly felt weak as the adrenaline that kept him going seeped away. He sat down behind the tree trunk, resting his back against it as he listened to sobs turning into crying and into wailing. Naruto sounded like a child so broken, so helpless, and so deep in despair. Sasuke closed his eyes and let his own tears fall. The Chunin exam seemed to have taken a break, and it became a camping trip just like the one Sakura's mother didn't let her go on when she was younger. Ino, Chuji, and Shikamaru hung around after the rest left. They were given the scroll from the sound team since they were fighting as well. Given the state of her ankle, Sakura was pretty much stuck with Ino while Chuji and Shikamaru went fishing at the stream. She hadn't hung out with Ino like this for a long time. It felt like a lifetime ago that they decided to grow their hair and became rivals for Sasuke-kun's affection. Ino had been pretty hostile towards her when she learned that Sakura and Sasuke were on the same team. Well, Sakura might have bragged about it too. Given their hostility, she was surprised at how their dynamic just got back to where it was years earlier, or how easily she could still read her friend. Like then, Sakura could tell simply just by looking at her that she was planning something. Whatever you're thinking, don't do it, Ino-pig, she said as she observed a rather sinister smile on her friend's face. Sasuke-kun is tired already. Oh, Sakura. Like I would do anything against his wish. I was only thinking of a goodnight kiss, that's all, Ino replied and giggled. Previously, Sakura would have screamed at her friend saying that Sasuke was hers so Ino could back off, but right then she just sighed. The lack of heated response seemed to alarm Ino. What happened? She asked. Did Sasuke-kun do something? Sakura didn't know what to say. It was not that she had given up on Sasuke entirely. After months of being his teammate, she had a distinct impression that Sasuke would never look at her the way she wanted. I'm just thinking that I should give this Sasuke-kun thing a break. I've been obsessed with him for way too long, I think. Right now knowing him as I do sort of changes things. Wait, what? Hold on. Are you saying Sasuke-kun has some disturbing, deep, dark secret quirk that put you off? Ino asked. Sakura pouted. Oh, come on, Sakura. Give your girlfriend all the juicy bits already. Well, Sakura started. I'm not entirely sure if Sasuke-kun is into this kind of thing. Ino paused, then shrieked. What? He's gay? No. Shut up, Ino. He just never looks at any girl or guy at all. Like they don't register with him. Well, maybe except one, and Sasuke denied everything, so Sakura was going to accept that answer for the time being. Maybe he's just a late bloomer, Ino said. She nodded to herself like she was convinced her answer was correct. Yeah, maybe, Sakura said and sighed again. It's not like I don't like him anymore, you know. I'm just, there are moments where I wasn't even sure who I was looking at. Ino gave her a thoughtful look. You mean, he's not like who you imagined? She asked. Yeah, Sakura replied. He can be so mean and so annoying sometimes. He doesn't listen to anybody and basically thinks we're worthless. Then there were moments when he was actually very thoughtful and kinda sweet. She shrugged. He's more complicated than I thought, I guess. Ino whistled. Yeah, I can sort of see that. Back in the academy, he was this aloof and cool guy who didn't talk to or befriend anybody. And look at him now, running off after Naruto like that. I wouldn't have thought that kind of thing could happen. That made Sakura's heart sink a little. Yeah, she said, pulling her knees to her chin. Ino looked at her with concern. What is it? She asked. Nothing. I'm just worried about Naruto, she replied. Ino raised an eyebrow. So close proximity makes the heart grow fonder? She teased. Sakura rolled her eyes. Its absence makes the heart grow fonder, Ino-pig. Quoted right, she said. And he's my teammate too. He was already better than me when we started this. And now he's leaving me in the dust. She huffed in frustration. If only she were stronger, she could have protected them, and maybe Naruto wouldn't have to push himself so hard and become so scary. I've got to admit, though, that I didn't think he could fight like that, said Ino hesitantly. I know this is the Chunin exam and it's supposed to be a fight to the death and all that crap, but Naruto wasn't going to kill them, Sakura said firmly. Ino looked at her and shook her head. I know that's stupid. Or that girl would have been dead already, not just in need of facial reconstruction, Ino replied. She shuddered a little bit. And what's with those black, creepy marks and that chakra anyway? Since when did he know how to do something like that? That wasn't him, said Sakura. That much she was certain. Ino looked at her, puzzled. What do you mean? She asked. Sakura ended up telling Ino everything about the fight with the creepy grass ninja and of Naruto's strange chakra that he seemed to be able to tap into from time to time. Something seemed to click in Ino's head. You know, her friend started slowly. You know my family runs a flower shop, right? Sakura nodded. See. When I was very young, I helped out in the shop, and there was one time when this lady came in to buy flowers for her family's grave. She chatted to my mom, not knowing I was around there behind the counter, and mentioned not letting the fox boy come close to me at school. I didn't know what she was talking about, so I didn't care. The fox boy part stuck though, because I couldn't figure out who in our class she was referring to. Sakura caught on immediately. You think it's Naruto? She asked. Well, I don't know, Sakura. The whisker marks make him look vaguely like one, but who knows really? It could have been someone else. Sakura could feel gears turning in her head. Do you remember that time when Naruto got bullied on the playground by that group of boys? Ino huffed and said, Oh my god, that's so vague. Like how many times has She paused. Oh my god, I didn't realize. Sakura didn't either. She had always thought Naruto was loud and annoying, but sifting back through her memory gave her a completely different perspective. There was one time that a gang of boys beat him up with sticks. One of them shouted, Kill the fox. A teacher dragged them off the playground right away. They never broke up a fight like that. That was probably the only time it happened. Yeah, Ino replied softly. Her eyes suddenly snapped to Sakura's. This might sound crazy, but I'm just going to put it out there. Okay, what is it? Sakura asked, too impatient to hold back already. Well, Ino began. She seemed unsure about what she was going to say next. What if Naruto is the Kyuubi? When the boys came back from the stream, they were greeted by the sight of the two girls rolling on the forest floor, laughing their asses off. Oh, this is troublesome, muttered Shikamaru. Naruto was right behind him, and it therefore took him another 2 steps to actually see what was going on. And even then he was simply too confused to say anything. Naruto! Ino called out and waved at him, still wheezing through her nose. Glad you're back. Naruto just looked at her. He got a feeling something was up. Please don't tell me you ate some kind of mushroom around here, Shikamaru said as he handed that pack of grilled fish to Naruto for safekeeping and walked over to his teammate. And by safekeeping he meant from Chuji. The guy had had his share on the shore of the stream where they grilled the fish, but was still looking for more. Naruto hugged the pack tightly. I swear to the gods, Ino had the most ridiculous punchline ever, Sakura-chan said as she sat up. Her eyes were still filled with mirth as they set on Naruto. Despite her shorter hair and sprained ankle, Sakura was still in high spirit. Naruto was relieved. We've been waiting for you guys for so long, Ino complained. Where's our food? Naruto gladly ran over to the girls and handed out the fish. He made sure Sakura got the big one he caught. He joined in later in the catch when he caught sight of Chuji and Shikamaru by the stream. Sasuke joined them just moments later and caught an even bigger one than Naruto's. Lucky for Naruto, Chuji laid claim to it before any of them could. That one is for you, Sakura-chan, he said as he put the fish on the leaf plate they made. I caught this myself, he added with his usual big grin. Sakura smiled in return before she feigned a scoff. Are you sure it's edible? She said. Come on, Sakura-chan. Have a little faith in me, would ya? He said, the smile still on his face. To his surprise, she nodded and started to eat the fish. The thing wasn't seasoned at all, but they were so tired and hungry that any food tasted like it was God-sent. Satisfied that she was eating, he got up and sat down on the ground further away to devour his share of the meal. Sasuke sat between him and Sakura while Shikamaru sat by Ino. Chuji wasn't allowed any more fish and had to keep watch from a branch above them. So, what do you think we should do? Shikamaru asked with his mouth half full, which made him look kind of disgusting. I think we should move after this, said Sasuke. Both our teams have the scrolls, we might as well just go straight for the tower. Wait, Naruto interjected, what about Sakura-chan's ankle? Why don't we stay here for a day or something? No, the fire we set beside the stream would have attracted other teams already. We should get our hides out of here, said Shikamaru. But if we run into enemies, we're done for if we are too tired to fight, Naruto countered. Shikamaru gave this a thought and nodded. True, he said, we should rest then, but it can't be here. We have to move further before finding shelter. I can travel, Sakura said. Her fish was nothing but bones now. The sprain isn't bad, but I'm still going to slow you guys down, so we should get moving soon to cover the distance. But Sakura-chan, she cut him short with a shake of her head. The sooner we get to the tower, the better. We should do this before the 6 of us run out of gas. Naruto looked at her and nodded. With that decided, there wasn't anything he could say to persuade them otherwise. They finished up their meals and prepared for the long walk. It was then that Sasuke came over and spoke to him. Why don't you go and help Sakura? He said. Naruto just looked at him. She would only injure herself if she pushed too hard. You can be her crutch for the time being, right? Sasuke said. Naruto didn't know where that came from. He just didn't like it. Well, why don't you do it? She'll be thrilled, Naruto replied. The thought of him touching Sakura, of even being close to her, made his stomach churn. I have to stand guard, said Sasuke in that all-important tone of his. Oh please, almighty Uchiha, save us all, Naruto scoffed. You're about ready to drop dead. Don't act like you're invincible, Sasuke. You go with her. I'll be the guard, he said, then walked off. He didn't want to argue about this with Sasuke. It wasn't that he didn't want to help Sakura. Naruto would do anything for her, but the question was, should he? Did he even have the right to? Hey, you ready? Shikamaru asked. He looked as bored as ever, like nothing he had seen before really affected him. While everybody thought Shikamaru was lazy because he couldn't give a damn, Naruto liked Shikamaru because of that. Yeah, let's go, he said. They took off shortly after. The trek through the forest was a long and tiring one. They started out carrying Sakura to get a head start. Naruto, Sasuke, Shikamaru, and Chuji all took turns. Ino was at the front checking their trail for traps, animals, and enemies. They managed to get a view of the tower before nightfall. After that was where things was going to get really tricky, so they decided to rest there for the night. Ino and Chuji scouted the area for potential enemies and traps as Shikamaru let Sakura down in front of a big shrub they decided to use for hiding. All clear, Naruto poked his head out of bush with a wide smile. Sasuke rolled his eyes. Did this guy ever run out of energy? Quiet, Naruto, Sakura chided him in a sharp whisper, but thanks. Naruto still had the smile on his face when he crawled out and pulled back a branch. Sakura took the cue and crawled in. Shikamaru followed soon after, then Naruto turned to Sasuke expectantly. Sasuke just said, I'll wait for the scout. I can do that, bastard. Now don't act tough. Get in, Naruto countered. Sasuke sighed and sat down next to Naruto as the blonde gave him the stink eyes. You don't trust me at all, do you? He said as he released the branch. What a great team player. Sasuke did not dignify that comment with a response. He asked, how's the seal? Naruto's hand automatically shot up to his neck close to where the mark was. Is it showing? He asked quietly. His voice had a slight tremor that Sasuke barely registered. No, Sasuke replied, but you were touching your neck a lot. And you hissed a few times while doing it. I thought I should ask. It's nothing, Naruto said. His hand didn't leave his shoulder though. It just itches sometimes. Sasuke doubted that was all there was, but he knew Naruto wasn't going to admit that the seal was acting up. Let me have a look, he said as his hand grabbed Naruto by the shoulder and pulled so Naruto was facing him. He pulled down the zipper in front of Naruto's jacket and pulled the fabric back so he could have a better look at the seal. The seal looked dormant. It didn't change the shape from the first time he saw it. He ran his fingers over the ink skin slowly but couldn't feel anything underneath or on it. A seal from pure chakra. Sasuke had never heard of anything like it before. With his hand on Naruto's shoulder, he could feel the muscle shaking slightly under his fingers. He made a quick once-over and could see how tired Naruto was. It was hard to tell without basically being in Naruto's personal space, because Naruto seemed to have endless energy when he moved around. And Naruto moved around a lot. Naruto gave him a weird look, so Sasuke quickly diverted his attention. You said it itches? Naruto swallowed and said yeah. Sasuke pulled his hands back and reached for his pouch. He did not have anything that could really help, but he thought something cool might do. He pulled out a small towel, drenched it with water, and dabbed it on the seal. This should help a little, he muttered. It's not too bad, Naruto said, but Sasuke ignored him and continued on his work. Stop already, Sasuke, Naruto protested, but his voice was too tired to have any conviction, so Sasuke lingered. It was Naruto who pulled away when they heard a cough. We're back, said Chuji. Want an update? Sasuke nodded. He was a little startled that he didn't notice the chubby boy approaching at all. To his surprise, Ino, instead of coming after him like she usually did, went straight for the opening in the bush. I'll update the people inside, she said hastily before disappearing into the shrub, leaving the confused boys behind. What's with her? Naruto turned to Chuji and asked. Chuji just shrugged before he sat down and told them about the layout of the place around them. Basically, they were surrounded by traps. It seemed that many teams chose to get the scroll close to the tower, knowing they had a better chance at getting the one they needed. From here on would probably be all-out war. Sasuke didn't like the sound of it. He tried to come up with a way to get out of this place faster, but couldn't really think of anything but the use of stealth. A group of 6 would be a bit large for that, but if they could coordinate their movements, they might be able to slip past those traps quite alright. He needed to talk to Shikamaru about this. I'll take the first watch with Shikamaru if he's okay with that. The rest of you should eat and rest. It was hard to tell what Chuji felt. He looked at Sasuke and nodded gravely before going inside the shrub. Naruto, however, remained. I dead last when I said the rest that includes you, too, Sasuke said, but Naruto wasn't moving. So? Who died and made you the leader anyway? Naruto replied. I'm the almighty Uchiha. I don't need to rest. I can take care of everybody. All hail me. Sasuke was sure he purposefully drawled just to be extra annoying. Sasuke rolled his eyes. Your taunts are getting old, Uzumaki, he said, too tired to be riled up by Naruto's childishness. Yeah? Your attitude is getting old too, Sasuke, Naruto replied. He moved to a crouch, clearly trying to intimidate Sasuke who was sitting. You like to act like you're better than everybody, like the earthly things like sleep and food and tiredness are so beneath you. Bad news, you fool nobody bastard. Sasuke could feel a start of a headache. Now listen here, dope, he said, pressing forward into Naruto's personal space. I am better than the lot of you. But no, I'm not above sleeping or eating or getting tired, but I can manage it better. I'm an Uchiha, Naruto. I don't think you know what that means. Naruto looked about ready to shout a comeback, when he suddenly tipped forward by an unseen force. Sasuke's reaction time was off because of the day's journey, so he didn't manage to catch Naruto before their faces mashed, their noses collided, and their mouths basically locked to one another. Also because of delay in reaction time, it took a good 3 seconds for both him and Naruto to pull back and try to spit out the aftertaste. When Sasuke looked up again, he saw Naruto Shikamaru looking rather amused. Did I come at a bad time? He asked. Sasuke had the urge to strangle him. What did you do that for? Naruto turned to Shikamaru, still rubbing his mouth. Shikamaru rolled his eyes. How would I know you'd be crouching close to the entranceway? Next time move back a bit, unless you were planning on kissing him all along. Sasuke had never thought Naruto's face could turn that red. Then again, Naruto was rarely embarrassed. Sasuke just didn't know what face to make. Go inside already, he told Naruto, who grudgingly zipped up his jacket and disappeared into the bush. It was too awkward for Naruto to stay behind after that anyway. Shikamaru, thankfully, did not make any comment about the scene he accidentally caused. He motioned them to a branch above the shrub where they could talk and watch the surroundings from a higher point. Chuji said you want to talk to me, he stated in his usual bored tone as he settled in a position facing opposite of Sasuke. Sasuke nodded. He told Shikamaru about what he thought was their best way of moving forward. Shikamaru listened quietly before adding his 2 cents to the pile. They were going to move in pairs. First pair would be the scouts, for which Sasuke volunteered. His Sharingan could see some chakra-infused traps and genjutsu traps, so it would be easier for them to trudge through. Shikamaru would come with him so he could lay out the track for the second team, Sakura and Ino. The last team would be behind to cover their tracks and check if there was anyone behind them. That would be Naruto and Chuji. Man, Ino and Naruto are going to complain about us not asking for their input. It's going to be so much trouble getting those two on board, Shikamaru complained. Sasuke couldn't agree more. I'll convince Ino. You'll convince Naruto, Sasuke said. He hoped that her way too obvious infatuation with him would come in handy. Sure, Shikamaru replied. There was a moment of silence as they watched the last light of the sun going out. So, Ino told me something interesting. Sasuke had a distinct feeling he wouldn't like where this was going. She said you and Naruto might be a couple. Oh gods. Not again. She said she saw you two eye-fucking while cuddling with your hand inside Naruto's jacket. Exaggeration, Sasuke countered. Shikamaru lifted an eyebrow. So you're not denying that you and Naruto? No. I mean, yes, I deny having anything to do with that idiot, Sasuke replied. He willed the blood down from his face. I was just checking his injury. Shikamaru's eyebrow went a little higher, if that was even possible. Okay, sure, he said. His tone was layered with much skepticism. Sasuke was going to deny it some more when Shikamaru suddenly looked serious. I was planning on giving you the hurt him and you die speech, you know. I guess I don't have to do that then. Sasuke was puzzled. Shikamaru scratched his stomach and said, Look, I know for a fact that Naruto doesn't have a lot of friends. Me and Chuji are probably the only two people who've seen the inside of his room. I was a little worried when I knew he was going to be in the same team as you, because I knew he hated your guts. He has a hand-drawn Beat Sasuke poster in his bedroom. You look pretty hideous on it. You talk a lot, Sasuke replied. This was really getting awkward. He didn't think he was supposed to know this, but what I was afraid of the most was that he was going to be left behind, Shikamaru added like he didn't hear Sasuke at all. You're not good for him. You're an arrogant bastard who couldn't give a damn about what other people feel. I was sure you were going to treat him like shit. I was looking forward to seeing him knocking you over. Sasuke had to admit that he was surprised by that sentiment. Shikamaru might not act like he cared much about the world, but he clearly cared about Naruto in his own quiet and aloof way. I guess I just want to say thanks for trying to care for him, Shikamaru said and sighed. I know he's unbearable. He's just trying to live the best he knows how. I can't always be there to remind him that he's not alone. I'm glad that at least you can do that when I can't. He just stared at Shikamaru, not knowing how to respond to that. His family and teachers had thanked him for helping out before, but this was the first time he was thanked for something he decided to do largely by himself. It felt weird, like his chest was suddenly infused with warmth and expanding beyond its usual capability. He quickly remembered that he needed to respond and said, "You're welcome," before going back to watching the darkened forest. Not at any point did he admit to himself that being thanked felt nice. The trek to the tower was less eventful than the first 2 days of their test. They had a run-in with a team of rain ninja and another brush with a trap that they managed to escape before any serious encounter happened. The plan of trying to avoid other teams meant they spent over a day and a half to get to the tower instead of what could easily be a day trek. Naruto thanked his luck for being teamed with Chuji and for Sakura being injured enough that they were not going full speed. He doubted he could keep up. When he told Sasuke that the seal itched, he didn't lie. It did itch, but it also caused spasms down his arm and back and a considerable level of pain. It didn't happen often, but each time it did, the pain was enough that Naruto wasn't able to hide it completely. It acted up 3 times on their way to the tower. He was lucky that Chuji noticed only once, and he was able to brush it off. Once they got inside though, he doubted that he could keep it from his teammates for much longer, and it was just his luck that he had to room with Sasuke. This didn't sound like much of a change, but in the forest the attention was directed outward because there was danger lurking just out of sight. Once they were safe, the attention was going to turn inward. Naruto felt the sense of doom as they were shown to their room. He almost thought of using Sexy no Jutsu and going to room with Sakura just down the hall. The moment they were alone, Naruto was sure the bastard was going to start asking questions, like he did on and off for weeks about various things already. Naruto had to be careful if he was going to keep his condition low-key. As soon as the door was shut behind them, Sasuke turned to him. Naruto knew this was it. He was going to. Before he could even freak out properly, Naruto blurted out, "Let's go take a bath." Sasuke's eyes widened. He blinked in confusion. Naruto realized what he just said and realized the utter genius of it. This place had public bath. Sasuke wouldn't ask him anything strange in a place like that. "Come on, Sasuke. Let's go," he said, basically bouncing off the walls as he went for the closet and grabbed a yukata. They'd bathe, and Naruto would snooze as soon as they got back. No time for Sasuke to say anything. "Good plan. TCH, do you ever get tired dead last?" said Sasuke had grabbed another yukata and a towel before following Naruto out of the room. They met Sakura-chan and Ino on the way, also heading to the bath. He learned from them that there were hot tubs. Yes. Yes. Naruto shouted, shooting his hands in the air. Hot tubs. Oh geez, Sakura said. Where do you get your energy from? Naruto just smiled and went ahead into the changing room with a wave. He didn't want to snub Sakura that way, but he needed to get away from Sasuke. He quickly took off his clothes and went for the bathing area with as much enthusiasm as he could muster. He found Shikamaru and Chuji scrubbing up and Naruto joined them immediately, hoping their presence would deter Sasuke. He was glad that Sasuke didn't join in. He just watched from afar as he cleaned himself from another side of the room. Unfortunately, Shikamaru, that lazy bastard, saw right through him. Having a row with the boyfriend? He said offhandedly. Naruto nearly dropped a small plastic tub containing considerable amount of water on his own head. The hell? He yelled. Shikamaru gave him a look. Honestly, if you don't want us to tease you, don't react so much, he said before dousing himself in water. He could at least stop glaring at us, though. Ino has enough ideas about you two already. He's just weird, man. You know that, Naruto said, trying to shrug it off. Oh? How so? Naruto contemplated just brushing it off, but he hadn't had a chance to talk to Shikamaru in a while. During their trip here, Shikamaru mostly stuck with Sasuke. Or rather, Sasuke dragged him along everywhere and only talked shop with him. They were acting like the leaders of the group, making decisions and plans between the two of them. Naruto could understand why. Sasuke was smart, hands down. Shikamaru, despite his just above average track record, was actually a really smart guy, too. Naruto knew this firsthand. It just pissed Naruto off that Sasuke didn't consider his opinion worthy even though they were teammates. Thinking about it made him want to punch the bastard. He decided that all he needed was ranting about him to Shikamaru. Well, Naruto started, he made really weird small talks, asking really personal things that it was positively creepy. Shikamaru just looked thoughtfully at him and asked, "Are you sure he wasn't coming on to you or something?" "Ugh, don't say that." And he thought hanging out with Shikamaru was a good idea. Honestly, every suggestion from Shikamaru was just giving him gooseflesh. Anyway, I was saying that Sasuke was just not normal. I don't get what his brooding is all about and he does it all the time. How can anybody be that broody and survive for longer than a year? I tell you, man, it's draining the energy out of the team. Maybe you should ask him about that, Shikamaru suggested. Why should I? Said Naruto. I don't want him to go emo all over me. Shikamaru gave him a look. And here you are ranting to me like I can do anything, he said. Well, at least you listen to me. He never listens to me, or Sakura-chan actually. He's all high and mighty and self-important that his team doesn't matter. My opinion isn't important enough that he'd give a damn. Shikamaru was quiet for a moment before he said, well, I can see your point there. Right. Naruto replied excitedly. Finally, Shikamaru was in agreement with him. Teaming with him is so frustrating, not to mention he's usually just downright rude, you know. Let me tell you. Before Naruto could carry on with his rant, he felt a firm grip on his shoulder. He stood up and spun around and there was Sasuke with the darkest expression he'd ever seen. The Uchiha didn't say anything, he just grabbed Naruto by the back of his neck and dragged him out to the changing area so fast Naruto thought the floor just moved under his feet. There Sasuke threw him against the wall. Seems like you have a lot you want to tell me, he said. His voice was tight with anger. Naruto smirked. Finally come down from your throne, Uchiha? He taunted. He widened his stance automatically like every time they got into a fight. Didn't I tell you it was getting old? Why don't you say what you want to say to my face, coward? Sasuke snarled. Like it would ever find your ear holes, bastard, Naruto snarled back. Sasuke made a threatening step closer. Try me, idiot, he said. Yeah? Naruto chuckled and said, you want me to tell you how much of a jerk you are? Because I tell you every goddamn single day, and you could never comprehend what I say. Sasuke narrowed his eyes. Is this about Sakura? Oh, now you're deflecting. Uzumaki, cut the crap. This is not about Sakura, asshole. It's about you. You and your higher-than-thou attitude. What do you think I am? Your minion? What about Sakura? One of your groupies? By the way, if that is what you think, I am so going to knock all your teeth out of your mouth and I wouldn't even care if your fangirl army is going to stone me to death afterward. Naruto, Sasuke growled, stop hiding behind Sakura. Keep her out of this and tell me what's your problem. You bastard. You are the epitome of my problem. You think you know better. You think you are better. No, wait. Let me quote you. I am better than the lot of you. Want me to do an impersonation too? I can do that. Naruto, you're trying my patience. See? Naruto pointed at his face. That right there is my problem. You think you are so great you couldn't care less what the rest of us think. You can't even just listen to me. That's because you're a moron. Sasuke shouted loud enough that Naruto took an involuntary step backward, but his hand were balled in a fist. That's it! Naruto shouted. He had said enough. He threw a punch into Sasuke's face. The Uchiha blocked him and gave him a mean left hook that Naruto barely dodged. He stumbled backward a bit from the force and was greeted with an insufferable smirk on Sasuke's face. Can't even throw a punch, dead last. Naruto lunged forward, but his feet faltered as the pain shot down his body. Every muscle seemed to contract violently and uncontrollably. He felt a surge of chakra so powerful it burned him inside out only to ebb away and leave him cold and trembling. He couldn't breathe, could barely register that he was face first on the floor with blood dripping down his nose. Then suddenly he felt his stomach twisted, like somebody had reached in with hot burning hands and torn his insides apart. He tried to grab hold onto something, anything, as his sanity seemed to slip and his entire body cramped up. Was he about to die? He smelled blood, his own blood. He could see his fingers digging into the wooden floor, tearing it until his own hand was torn. He couldn't feel it. All he felt was the burn coming in and out his body unlike any other pain he had ever experienced. He was rolled onto his back as he began to see dark spots in his vision, and the sound started to fade into high-pitched ringing. The world was beginning to fade and he was grateful for it. He didn't know if he could take it any longer, and just as he thought it was going to end, it started all over again. When Kakashi arrived, the room was already full of people. There were 2 medical nin examining an unconscious Naruto on the bed. 2 A and B guarded the door and the window. Kakashi knew there were more of them outside the window, down the hall, and in the adjacent rooms. In the room was also Sasuke being treated by a medic for the cuts on his back. Sasuke looked up at him and Kakashi was struck by how worn out he looked. He looked rattled, which was more than Kakashi had ever seen him. "We were fighting," Sasuke told him quietly when he stopped in front of the boy. He didn't even ask for a report yet. Then he was on the floor writhing and screaming. Those ugly marks were all over him. "I don't know what happened." Kakashi patted the boy gently on the head. Sasuke might hate this, but there wasn't a lot of space on Sasuke's shoulders and upper arms that wasn't bruised or cut already. He didn't want to aggravate those injuries. One of the medics by Naruto's bed motioned him over. He looked concerned enough that Kakashi was starting to worry. When he got there, he saw it, and he thought he had to be worried about Sasuke. After all, that was who the intel told him was Orochimaru's intended target. It seemed that the cryptic someone interesting he divulged to Anko in their brief encounter was instead Naruto. Everything had just gotten more complicated. "It is dormant now," said the medic. "It seems to react to the child's emotional state and pull out a lot of chakra." With anyone else, Kakashi didn't need to be worried about this, but Naruto didn't have ordinary chakra reserves. "His chakra pathways? Intact," the medic said. "But he can't risk using too much chakra right now or he might burn them. He'll need time to recover for a week at least, not to mention getting the curse seal blocked off." That Kakashi could do. He didn't know, though, if now was the right time to put a seal on top of a seal, not to mention the complication with that seal. "We'll have to take him off the Chunin exam then." "You can't do that," came the protest from across the room, not that it was far off. And Sasuke had good hearing too, Kakashi sighed. "This is a medical order, Sasuke," he said. "It's not up for contest, but he's already come this far, Kakashi. You know Naruto would want to see this through. You can't just..." Before Sasuke could finish the sentence, Kakashi was in front of him. The sound of his fist slamming into the wall next to the boy shut Sasuke up instantly. "I know what Naruto would have wanted. And like yours, his wants or opinions do not factor in here. Stop acting like a spoiled brat and leave the decision to people who know what they are doing," Kakashi said. He didn't raise his voice, but the look on Sasuke's face was enough to tell that he got the message. Satisfied that Sasuke was going to be silent, he turned to the ANBU nearby. "Please inform the Hokage of Naruto's condition and have an escort team assembled. We move him as soon as the path is cleared." Sasuke's head perked up again, but he knew better than to protest this time. Kakashi was glad he didn't. Now really was not the time. He made his way to the door when Sasuke snarled, "I'll demand an explanation after this." "Sure," Kakashi replied and left. Sakura found Sasuke-kun the next day in the little cafeteria they have in the tower. He looked so distraught and angry that everyone just gave him a wide berth. Even Ino decided to stay close to her teammates instead of pestering Sasuke for attention. Sakura, however, did not have the luxury. "Hi Sasuke-kun," she said as she sat down opposite of him. "Where's Naruto?" The dark aura around him seemed to grow even darker. "I don't know," he said. Sakura smiled tentatively. "Did you two fight again?" she asked offhandedly. After all, they fought all the time. This time Sasuke flinched like she had hit him. Sakura blinked in surprise. "What happened?" she asked. Surely it couldn't be anything that they couldn't resolve before the third round in the afternoon. The look in Sasuke's eyes was something she had never seen before. He looked guilty, and to some extent hurt. "We fought yesterday, and the seal acted up badly. They moved him to the hospital in Konoha last night." "Wait, but if he's not here..." Kakashi officially withdrew his name. "There are just the two of us now." Sakura had to let that sink in for a few seconds. Naruto had to withdraw. But he was fine since that fight with the sound ninja. "He hid it from us," Sasuke said, anger clear in his voice. He said it itched. Itched his ass. It was killing him, and he had the audacity to not say anything. Sakura didn't know what to do. She had never seen Sasuke so upset. She thought of taking his hand like she did the girls when they were crying, but she knew a boy like Sasuke wouldn't like that. She needed to say something to ease his worries, But it'll be okay or he'll be fine somehow fell short, so she went with her instinct. I'm glad you care this much, she said. Sasuke looked at her like she just socked him in the jaw. I've never seen you hang out with anyone, even back in the academy, and to be honest I've always been a little worried that you might be lonely. She tried to smile. I'm glad you care about Naruto. At least you're not alone anymore. Sasuke looked at her like he didn't understand a thing she said. Then his face turned to anger. I don't care about him. He's just an assignment Kakashi gave me to improve my skills, that's all, he snapped. Sakura blinked. I don't understand, she said. He huffed. Kakashi said I lack the ability to gather information from socialization, so he gave me an assignment to try to befriend Naruto. I couldn't care less what happens to that moron. If he couldn't even think of telling us what's going on. Sasuke cut himself short, stood up, and walked off. For a moment, she thought of following him, but she figured he needed to blow some steam. Sakura wouldn't be able to help him anyway. When she turned back to scan the room, she found Ino looking at her sympathetically while Shikamaru just shook his head. Even Chuji had stopped eating to see how she was doing. Sakura stood up and moved over to Ino's table. Sasuke was defeated, not in the preliminary third round, of course, although it was a little tough. He didn't sleep well the night before despite being desperately tired. His chakra was pretty low. Most of all, his temper was getting to him a lot. He lost a good portion of his chakra to his opponent when he was too slow to escape a death grip on his face. The guy was able to steal chakra. What a freak. After being taunted that he was nothing without his chakra, he snapped and went all out on the guy using taijutsu. He might have stolen a few moves from Rock Lee, but in the end it was all him that knocked the guy out. He should be happy that he got to fight a strong opponent, but he felt nothing. He was numb as he fought. He was numb as he watched. Even as he got to see the strength of monsters like Gaara, Neji, and Lee, there wasn't the thrill there. He struggled to remember why he wanted to fight strong opponents. He struggled to remember why he used to be so excited. He wanted to be angry with Itachi again so he could be alive like he used to, so he would want to fight people like Gaara like he used to. Right then, he didn't feel like Gaara was worth his attention at all. Gaara was a speck of sand, maybe a danger but nothing more than a peripheral satellite. At the end of the matches he had to admit that he was fighting a losing battle, a battle he wasn't able to admit he was fighting the whole time. Sakura was right. He was lonely. He just never had anything else to measure that loneliness with, so he thought he was fine. Once he had tasted the forbidden fruit, he couldn't go back to that anymore. He felt like he would die a little inside whenever he tried to. So he admitted defeat and surrendered. He missed Naruto. The room was quite frankly poorly secured. It didn't take much for him to get into the hospital room through the window and sit on the side of the bed. The blonde boy looked so peaceful in his sleep. He ran his finger gently on the round cheek. It was surprisingly soft to touch. First I thought he was just an insolent child, but he looked so precious sleeping like this. Don't you agree, Kakashi-kun? Although the Jounin was in fighting stance, he knew there wasn't much Kakashi could do, not against a Sannin, especially not with the nine-tailed child in the mix. Why are you here, Orochimaru? The Jounin asked. To check on my precious find, of course, Orochimaru replied. I see you have put a seal on him. That's why he has been unconscious. I had hoped to see him fight in the third round. You shouldn't have been so hasty and ruined my entertainment. It's your seal that ruins it. It's interfering with the nine-tailed seal. Naruto nearly got his chakra pathways burned. No, he won't, replied Orochimaru. Usually, I'd just let that happen to see if the body could cope, but Naruto-kun is too important for that, and I'm not stupid enough to waste my energy only to get a precious thing like this destroyed, he said as he ran his hand through the boy's hair. Kakashi narrowed his eyes. His hand came up front and sparks started to fly. Now, we're in a hospital. What do the doctors say about electronics? Orochimaru chided. There are ANBU guarding this building inside and out. They are all tracking his chakra. You won't be able to take him away. Orochimaru laughed. Kakashi was a smart kid but never smart enough. No, I don't need to do that, because Naruto-kun will come to me. Kakashi's eyes narrowed. He doesn't need your power or your hideous jutsu. Orochimaru got up from the bed and walked leisurely to the open window, taunting Kakashi to take the risk. He knew he wouldn't, because Kakashi was too smart for such a rash action. Maybe he should give him another hint. The question is not what he needs, Kakashi-kun. It's what he wants. Can this puny little village full of insincerity give him that? He said with a smile before jumping out the window. Could Kakashi understand what he just said? Maybe. That boy was bright enough, but would he be able to do anything about it? Orochimaru doubted that very much. I'm sorry, but the patient is in isolated care right now. No visitors allowed, was what the receptionist at the hospital told him when Sasuke arrived the morning after the prelim. He knew he was supposed to rest, but he couldn't sit still in his room. Since he had admitted to himself that he wanted to see Naruto, he didn't see the point of delaying a visit any longer. As it happened, that was also the answer he got 3 days later. Since he wasn't Naruto's family or next of kin, no one would answer any of his questions. Nobody would tell him about Kakashi either. He tried to find Kakashi since the first day he got back from the Chunin exam, but couldn't get a hold of him. His suspicion was that Kakashi was at the hospital watching over Naruto and avoiding having to explain the situation to Sasuke. He might be young, but Sasuke was not stupid enough to think that a seal or Naruto's condition was something to notify the Hokage about if there wasn't something else at play. Underneath, like Kakashi liked to say, as was his habit of the past 3 days. Sasuke sat in the waiting room, intending to stay a couple of hours just in case he could catch Kakashi, or anyone asking for Naruto or Kakashi who got a different answer than he did. Ino and Shikamaru came by the desk the other day after visiting Chuji to ask about Naruto, but were told off in the same vague and indifferent way. Sakura came by to see both Lee and Naruto. She only got directed to Lee's room. The third day was the first time he heard someone asking for Kakashi. The man stood out even in a village with eccentric fashion sense like Konoha. He reminded him somewhat of Naruto with just how loud he dressed. He just hoped that Naruto wouldn't have long, messy, spiky white hair when he grew old. Sasuke smirked to himself. The man standing out this much meant that he'd be a perfect diversion. Sasuke stood up. He walked to the drinking fountain, stealing a few flowers from a bouquet a girl had on his way there. He trailed the man up the stairs, careful to keep enough distance, and shield his chakra enough to look like a civilian. He purposefully dropped his change when he got to the floor, feigning clumsiness as he picked each of the coins up, the corner of his eyes tracking the white-haired man's movement. Sasuke noted the door the guy disappeared into. He gathered the rest of the change, got up, and walked leisurely past the room. He stole a quick glance on the nameplate and smirked. It said Uzumaki. He walked on to the next room, using the footsteps of a civilian, opened the door, and got in. In the room was an old couple who looked rather confused at his presence. "Your flowers, ma'am," he said as he put the flowers in the old lady's hand. She seemed to blush slightly, but Sasuke was too busy increasing the shield of his chakra to be sure.